Wake up, it's time to work. Xing Tian, stop pretending you're dead. I was jolted awake, staring at the dingy workers' dormitory. This wasn't a world torn apart. No endless dark skies, no zombies, no monsters. My heart sank. Wasn't I smashed into paste by that massive black beast's hammer? Why are you standing there like an idiot? Foreman Zheng shouted at me, safety helmet firmly on his head. If you don't finish today's work, you can kiss your dinner goodbye. He stormed off after I muttered a weak, yes, Foreman Zheng. But the more I thought about it, the more it didn't add up. In my dream, doomsday erupted seemingly overnight. The city was destroyed in a single day, and I battled for 3 days before the black beast crushed me to death. The pain and despair were so vivid. It couldn't have been just a dream. If it wasn't a dream, then the apocalypse would come in 7 days. I rummaged through my stuff and found an old pendant my family had passed down. A simple string looped through an unremarkable black bead. In that dream, it was this bead that shielded me, even allowed me to counterattack. I bit the tip of my finger and let a droplet of blood fall onto the black bead. The blood sank in, bit by bit. The bead flashed silver white, cold as if it were made of metal. A voice rang inside my head. System initialized. The mechanical heart is at your service. My face turned pale, my heart sinking into bottomless cold. It wasn't a dream. The apocalypse was coming. The door swung open, and Foreman Zheng stormed back in with a sour face. Xing Tian, are you trying to slack off? Get out and start moving bricks already. I locked eyes with him, my voice icy. I quit. He froze. If you leave, you'll lose half your paycheck for the month. Keep it. Grabbing my belongings, I walked out. Behind me, he yelled angrily, lousy summer workers. Always bailing halfway. At a small diner in Nanchang, I wolfed down a meal and leaned back in my chair, forcing myself to stay calm. I knew the apocalypse was on its way. Step 1, quit that dead-end job. Step 2, get money. The world still functioned within its current rules. I had 7 days before these rules collapsed. That was 7 days to make my move. I pulled out my phone and started frantically downloading loan apps. Entering my info, I applied to every single one. Calls and notifications flooded my phone. Hello, are you in need of a loan? Dear valued customer, with excellent credit, we recommend a loan of $10,000 with no interest for 3 months. Up to $100,000 available. I focused on the screen and responded with one line. Max amount, repayment in 1 month. Deal or no deal? Approved. $50,000 will shortly be deposited. No interest for 1 month. For hours, I worked on it. By the time I looked back at my account and saw hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting there, I couldn't suppress a grin. Under normal circumstances, I'd never touched these scammy apps. But with doomsday approaching, it felt great to turn the tables on them. Money settled. Step 3, get a vehicle. Not just any vehicle. It needs to be solid. My family's ancestral treasure, the mechanical heart, had always been a mystery. No one knew what it was for. Not until the end of the world in that dream when I activated it. The heart could bond with a machine and continuously upgrade it. Give it the right materials and energy, and even a toy car could evolve into a giant battle cruiser. But back in the dream, I'd panicked. I bonded it to the first car I found, a cheap Japanese compact. 3 days into the apocalypse, I couldn't find high-grade materials or fuel. The car was as flimsy as paper when the black beast tore it apart. Stupid junk car, I muttered as I started scrolling through car listings. I needed something durable, spacious for living, and with enough cargo capacity for survival. Scrolling for what felt like ages, one image caught my eye. A massive black RV. Half an hour later, I stood outside an upscale car dealership. The rideshare driver chuckled as he announced, "That'll be $34.50. I scanned the payment and walked in, expressionless. The receptionist stopped me. "Sir, do you have an appointment?" "I'm here for the RV." I held up my phone, showing her the image. The staff quickly ushered me to the showroom. Sitting in an expansive space was a 50-foot-long, jet-black RV, gleaming like a dark pearl. Its sharp lines and imposing design exuded raw power. An attractive female manager approached, gesturing for her staff to clear out. She smiled as she began her pitch. "Sir, have you chosen this model?" She went on about its specs: an alloy chassis, bulletproof windows, custom tires, advanced suspension, a storage area, mini garage, bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, living room, and even a 60-inch TV. Her confidence grew with each sentence. Right now, it's going for a special price, $28 million. Quite the deal. I smirked inwardly. My loan scams had netted mere hundreds of thousands. I couldn't even scratch the surface of her asking price. But I had no intention of buying it. I'll rent it, I said coldly. Her smile faltered, but she recovered quickly, sticking to protocol. Rental is $1,800 per day, minimum 1 week. Vehicle will be GPS tracked and must be returned undamaged. 1 week. I nodded. Upfront payment. We finalized the paperwork, and I drove the RV off the lot. No going home. Instead, I rented out a large warehouse and parked the vehicle inside before locking the doors. At the warehouse entrance, the portly owner handed me the keys. His gaze lingered on the luxurious RV, envy flashing in his eyes. To him, this must have been the most incredible vehicle he'd ever seen. Tian, here's the key. The boss keeps a spare. You'll need to call if you want to extend the lease after a month. He handed me the key, shared a few pleasantries, then left. I shut the warehouse door, triple-checking for cameras. None. Satisfied, I pulled out the mechanical heart. Mechanical heart, begin fusion. The familiar voice resounded in my mind. D. Select fusion object. It must be a mechanical item. Vehicles recommended. D. Suitable target detected nearby. Proceed with fusion. Several models appeared before me. A bicycle, a truck, a delivery van, and finally, my luxury RV. That one. The other models vanished instantly, leaving only the RV behind. D. Selection confirmed, commencing fusion. The mechanical core floated into the air, exploding into points of light that dove into the RV. 1%, 10%, 80%, 100%. Fusion successful. Mechanical war machine at your service. The voice was cold and robotic, but it made my heart burn with excitement. In my dream, I started with nothing but a junk heap of a vehicle, scraping by to upgrade it piece by piece. For every ounce of metal, I fought tooth and nail, battling zombies, mutated beasts, and alien bugs for their energy cores. More than once, I barely escaped with my life. It all came down to having the worst possible start. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Scan the war machine, I commanded. Absorbing energy reserves. Reconfiguring interior space. Establishing network connection. One directive after another, I waited for results. Remote tracking device detected. Countering location tracking. I knew that was the dealership's anti-theft system. Erase the tracker. Tracking device removed. I climbed inside. A holographic control panel hovered above the driver's seat, displaying tire condition, engine status, interior layout, equipment, storage capacity, and energy reserves, all at a glance. Connect to the internet. Time to stock up. The end of the world was coming, and survival hinged on supplies. Once the network went down, even knowledge and entertainment would be impossible luxuries. I went on a shopping spree. Rice, meats, fruits, dried goods, vegetables, snacks, and enough liquor to last a lifetime. I threw in a haul of clothes and daily necessities for good measure. Hours passed, my stomach growled, and hunger clawed at me. I spent almost $6 million, piling up food, metal, and essentials. Sure, I could scavenge for metal after doomsday, but I wanted to upgrade my storage right away, so I bought in advance. At last, I stepped out to find a nearby restaurant. Boss, 1 beer braised duck over rice, please. You got it. And also shredded pork with potatoes, plus a bowl of seaweed soup. The place was packed, the buzz of business spilling into the air as the owner handed me the menu with a smile. Red braised beef, sautéed greens, and fish head soup. I swallowed hard. In my dream, I'd spent 3 days running for my life, chewing on cold, dry rations and half-spoiled instant noodles. A hot meal like this had become a distant fantasy. No problem, coming right up. Moments later, a young girl carried out the dishes and set them down before me. She looked like the owner's daughter, simple and sweet, with a beauty that caught me off guard. Here you go. Enjoy your meal. Her voice was bright, and her eyes gleamed with kindness. Everything about her was refreshingly sincere. I found myself staring for a beat too long. The next moment, hunger got the better of me, and I dove in like I hadn't eaten in days. Whoa, this guy hasn't eaten for how many days? Murmured Yuni. She'd served her fair share of customers, but had never seen anyone wolf down food like this. After finishing, I exhaled deeply, utterly satisfied. The feeling of fullness surged in my head like pure bliss. And then, I frowned, an unsettling thought creeping in. Should I inform the government about the impending apocalypse? But if I did, would they turn around and target me instead? I remembered a man I'd saved in my dream, a worker at a nearby grain depot. He'd mentioned that the government had started moving supplies a month earlier. Whole depots emptied overnight, and his position had been terminated without explanation. Not long after he'd moved to my city, the doomsday struck. What rotten luck. Does the government already know about the incoming apocalypse? The thought sent a chill down my spine. Then I remembered rumors of the government's failure to respond effectively during the catastrophe. My guess? They probably had partial intel, but it was either incomplete or unreliable. They're probably already building shelters, prioritizing scientists, officials, and the ultra-wealthy. People like that probably already have golden tickets. The more I thought about it, the colder I felt. As a college student with neither family nor connections, there wasn't much tying me down. Still, I owed everything to the funding that had allowed me to attend school, a debt I couldn't disregard. Reluctantly, I picked up my phone to make a call. BRRR. BRRR. The dial tone stretched endlessly. Meanwhile, the restaurant swelled with customers, the hustle spilling over as cooks and staff scrambled to keep up. The owner, Yun Laopeng, was drenched in sweat as he worked the kitchen with his wife and daughter scrambling to assist. Yun Yi, though clearly overburdened, moved adeptly, barely keeping the chaos in check. But trouble had a way of stirring the pot. Yo! A freaking fly. The shout tore through the din like a firecracker, silencing the room. All eyes turned toward a table of tattooed, brightly dyed punks. One of them, with green hair holding a dead fly between two fingers, was scowling in exaggerated rage. The owner's wife hurried over, nerves in her voice as she asked, "What's the matter?" Green hair jabbed at the bug sitting on the plate. "Look at this disgusting thing. Do you people even clean this kitchen? I swear, one call to the health department, and your shop's toast." The owner's wife froze, unsure whether to feel guilty or defiant. She knew the food was clean, but the fly didn't even have oil on it. It was obvious it had been planted. Either way, she couldn't risk confrontation. Offering an appeasing smile, she said, "I'm terribly sorry. We'll cover this meal for you, no charge." How does that sound? But Green Hair wasn't about to drop the act. He slammed his palm on the table and barked, "Free food? You think that's enough? I eat your homemade cooking is a form of respect for you. What if I get food poisoning? What if I have to go to the hospital? Either you hand over compensation for emotional distress and medical expenses, or..." He paused for effect, his gaze sliding past the exasperated restaurant owner to land on the timid Yun Yi standing behind her. His eyes brightened. "Or E keeps me company for a day, and we'll call it even." A chorus of jeers erupted from the group of hooligans, egging him on. Brother Greenhair's got a point. Make her sis-in-law, and we're all family. Family, or something closer. Who's to say? Another cackled. Some customers furrowed their brows in discomfort, but sat silently, unwilling to intervene. Yun Yi bit her lip, her voice trembling as she tried hard to summon her courage. "Get out, all of you." Her voice, soft and unthreatening, lacked any real edge, instead pouring gasoline on the fire. Greenhair flashed an audacious smile and stepped forward. Sweet sister, just have a little talk with your brother here. I'll treat you real nice." Disgusting creep. Yun Yi's cheeks flamed red. She wanted to curse him out, but couldn't get stronger words to form. Frantic, her eyes darted around for help, but the patrons kept their heads down, pointedly ignoring her. Not a single person moved to intervene. At that moment, my phone started ringing. I answered, "Aunt Yang." From the other end came a warm and gentle voice. "Xiao Tian, what made you think to call your Aunt Yang?" Before I could answer, a loud burst of laughter erupted among the hooligans, their noise grating and obnoxious. I turned with a sharp gaze and barely contained irritation. "Quiet down." Greenhair snorted, slamming the table. "Oh, who do you think you are, trying to act all refined? I'll be as loud as I want. What can you do about it?" I said only, "Hold on, Aunt Yang," and set my phone down. Slowly, I stood, walking toward the rowdy group. "What? You want to fight?" Green hair flexed his muscles in mock intimidation. Without a warning, I struck, my fist connecting with the side of his neck. As he staggered, I spun and lashed out with a swift roundhouse kick, dropping another thug. One by one, I dispatched them, each move precise and controlled. Punches, elbows, simple but devastating strikes. Within seconds, they were sprawled on the floor, crying and trembling, their earlier bravado washed away. Snot and tears streamed down their pathetic faces. It was a skill set I'd retained from dreams. Combat techniques that, while not enhanced by any post-apocalyptic serum yet, were enough to deal with small-time troublemakers like these. The restaurant erupted into murmurs of shock and astonishment. That guy's intense. His moves are unreal. Yuni finally let out a breath she'd been holding, gratitude flooding her eyes as she glanced at me. But I acted like nothing had happened, calmly returning to my phone call. This left her frozen awkwardly, unsure how to process the sheer contrast. Moments later, an enraged, broad-shouldered restaurant owner, Yun's father, stormed in. After listening to what had transpired, his fury flared, and he physically threw the bruised hooligans out the door. Turning back to me with a hearty clap on his chest, he grinned. "Young man, thank you so much." Just as I was wrapping up my call with Aunt Yang, where I'd suggested she stock up on food and water just in case, I nodded in reply. "It's no big deal." The older man, still pumped with adrenaline and gratitude, declared, "This meal's on the house. Next time you visit, I'll whip you up something special." Puffing up a little with pride, he added, "My ancestors were palace chefs, after all. You name it, I can cook it." The mention of food caught my attention. Conveniently, I needed meals, and this place was close to my warehouse. It was practical. "I'd like daily deliveries sent to this address," I said plainly, providing the location and timing. He agreed enthusiastically. "Say no more. I'll make sure you get a different dish every day, no repeats, guaranteed." Satisfied, I turned to leave. As I walked away, I caught the faint but noticeable look of bewilderment and perhaps something else from Yun-Yi as she gazed at my retreating figure. An absence seemed to settle in her eyes. Noticing his daughter's distracted demeanor, her father chuckled and teased, "You can handle these deliveries yourself, right?" Her cheeks flushed deep red as she clenched the hem of her shirt. "Yes." Back at the warehouse. The next day, trucks began arriving, packed with food supplies, daily necessities, and the most critical shipment of all, metal. The heart of machinery could manipulate materials in extraordinary ways, transforming them into advanced technology like upgraded vehicles or even creating dimensional storage. In my dreams, my war machine seemed simple on the outside, but held tenfold storage capacity, thanks to such upgrades. To unlock that potential now, though, I needed two things: materials and energy. Materials were simple enough, scrap metal did the trick. Energy, however, was a more complex issue. In the apocalyptic future, energy came from the cores of monsters, zombies, and colossal beasts. But in the current peaceful world, high-grade energy sources were scarce. Thank heavens the heart of machinery came preloaded with a minimal reserve. Without it, I'd barely survive 3 days in my dream timeline. Leaping onto the vehicle, my voice turned firm. Heart of machinery, access energy reserves. The mechanical AI responded promptly. Level 1 energy, 100 units. Levels 2 and above, 0. I scanned the upgrade menu, my excitement fading the longer I looked. The car body could be upgraded to super alloy, making it resistant to bullets, explosions, and even 5-ton impacts, all for the cost of 10 tons of metal and 100 energy units. Wheels could be enhanced to super rubber, impervious to even the harshest terrain, again at the price of 100 energy units. What I truly coveted, though, was the external weapons system. That system could design guns and artillery. In theory, climbing its progression ladder could even allow me to weaponize a planet-killing cannon. A dream for another time, given my current energy deficit. I forced myself to bypass these tempting options and focus on something practical: dimensional storage. A warehouse upgrade to hold 100 cubic meters required 1 ton of metal and 100 level 1 energy units. The heart of machinery exceeded expectations. It could convert simple metal into high-tech builds, whether weapons, mechas, or dimensional spaces, like this storage vault. The only downside: Time still passed normally within. Items stored wouldn't be immune to rot. I'd need refrigeration tech eventually. Wasting no time, I commanded, upgrade storage space. Begin the upgrade. The war vehicle remained still as a pile of metal in the warehouse seemed to vanish into thin air, as if grabbed by an invisible hand. Moments later, the mechanical heart announced, upgrade complete. Dimensional storage space, 100 cubic meters. Can be upgraded to 1,000 cubic meters. Requirements, 500 points of secondary energy, 10 tons of metal. I pushed open the storage room door, and the space instantly transformed into a massive chamber before my eyes. From the outside, it looked narrow and small, but inside, it was as if the entire world had been carved out. I took a deep breath, suppressing my excitement. With something like this, my path forward could only get crazier. Let's set a small goal first. Turn this war vehicle into a cosmic battleship. But reality soon slapped me in the face. There were plenty of ways to upgrade the vehicle, but only one roadblock: energy. Before the apocalypse, no matter how hard I tried, solar power and electricity could barely sustain my equipment. Using it for upgrades was a pipe dream. After upgrading the storage space, I immediately began stockpiling resources. I rented a forklift and started transporting food, daily necessities, and metals into the dimensional space in batches. With 100 cubic meters at my disposal, I could stow away plenty of survival essentials. Then, I suddenly remembered medicine and scanned through the system's list. There was a car-mounted medical pod available for installation, but it required 2 tons of metal and 30 points of primary energy. I frowned. Energy would be easier to collect after the apocalypse. With a medical pod in tow, stockpiling loads of medicine didn't seem necessary. Considering rainy spells often occurred during the days leading up to the disaster, I could set up a temporary rainwater purifier to solve water problems without hoarding much of it. Still, having no medicine on hand wasn't a great plan either. In the end, I ordered a batch of common medications online, making sure to leave myself some critical backup. Over the next few days, I simply moved into the RV, leaving behind my former dwelling, which now felt like a doghouse in comparison to the luxury of the vehicle's interior. Checking the price tag, I found out the bed alone cost over 80 grand, and the pillow? 30 grand. Rich people's lives? Regular folks can't even imagine. When not moving supplies, I tasked the mechanical heart with collecting an extensive library of knowledge. Everything from advanced technology and biological science to physics, chemistry, math, and even religion. Whether I thought it was useful or not, I opted to pack up all of Earth's accumulated wisdom while I could. Entertainment content like movies, anime, novels, and music wasn't left out either. I had the mechanical heart download everything. It hacked into global networks, quietly pulling in files one by one, so discreetly that no governments even noticed. 3 days before the apocalypse, I looked at the storage unit packed with supplies and felt just a bit more at ease. Ding dong. The warehouse doorbell suddenly rang. I stretched, walked over, and opened the door. Xing Tiangij. Standing there was Yunyi, her smile sweet as ever. She wore a white shirt that accentuated her youthful figure, and her single ponytail emanated a pristine, vibrant charm. You're here. These past few days, she had been the one delivering takeout, and we'd become somewhat acquainted. Today I brought Kung Pao chicken, and I made it myself, she said, cheeks turning a bit red as she handed over a lunchbox. I was momentarily surprised, then accepted it. All right, let me try it. I invited her inside the warehouse, set up a folding table and chairs, and started eating. To my amazement, the girl's cooking skills were ridiculously good. Not only did it not seem like she was a beginner, but it might even rival her father, a renowned chef. Not bad, I complimented. Her eyes curved with happiness, her smile growing even brighter. Just then, a black sedan pulled up outside the warehouse. 2 people stepped out of the car, a nervous-looking man in a suit and a tall, strikingly beautiful woman whom I immediately recognized as the manager of Azure Coast Auto Rentals. Mr. Xing Tian. The manager's demeanor was sharp and authoritative. Routine monitoring shows that the GPS on the RV you rented has gone offline. Care to explain what's going on? Oh, that. I made a show of just remembering. Didn't notice. The RV's just been sitting here. I'll return it in a few days. Return it? As if. I chuckled inwardly, but kept a calm, and collected expression. It's been here the whole time. The manager visibly hesitated. She'd seen people rent RVs for travel, business events, even showing off, but never had she seen someone park one in a warehouse for days like this. Go check it out, she directed. The man in the suit stepped forward. Excuse me, sir. Mind if I do a quick inspection? Be my guest, I said casually. The RV, apart from that storage space, was perfectly normal, and there was no way they would pry into that compartment. Sure enough, the man only scanned the main equipment and valuables before stepping back out. Everything's intact, he reported. The manager's stern expression immediately softened, transforming into one of contrition. I'm so sorry for disturbing you. No problem, I replied with a slight grin. I'd swindled loan companies out of a few million in the past, but this car rental agency's loss was on another level. They'd practically handed me this nearly $3 million luxury RV for free. With the apocalypse closing in, who could even fathom what I was doing? The manager gave me one last curious look before leaving with her team. Yuni also said her goodbyes, eager to get back to help at her family's restaurant. I shut the door and headed back into the RV. The mechanical heart spoke up. Master, I've located the information you requested. My expression darkened. Pull it up. What I cared about most was the government-level response to the coming apocalypse. The mechanical heart, regarding information on the apocalypse from different countries. Translation cut due to data length. 3 months ago, intelligence from all over Z country frequently mentioned terms like solar storm and doomsday. 2 months ago, M country was the first to discover alien relics. Soon after, relics of various sizes were unearthed worldwide. A little over a month ago, nations deciphered the relics' messages, confirming that machinery inside them was still operational. The solar storm caused their camouflage to fail. Otherwise, they would have remained undiscovered for another century of human advancements. 1 month ago, an even more terrifying conclusion emerged. The sun would ignite a light of life in 1 month, triggering evolution and simultaneously destroying the world channel civilization. In the following month, countries went into a frenzy, rushing to build shelters, hoard supplies, and relocate key individuals. Heart of Mechanica exposed countless state secrets, throwing thousands of pieces of intelligence in front of me. After going through them, a heavy weight settled in my chest. The governments had long been preparing. A small group of elites would have access to shelters, while the vast majority were abandoned outright. The apocalypse was tied to the sun, but the information was incomplete. All that was known was that danger and opportunity were intertwined. The world was on the verge of a drastic transformation. Another ice age, or another age of desolation, might unfold. Suddenly, my phone rang. Hello? Xiao Tian. Aunt Yang. I was taken aback. Her tone was serious. Pack your things and head to my house immediately. I'm taking you somewhere. I hesitated for a few seconds. To a shelter? She paused briefly. So you do know? My father is one of the top 2 officials in Jean City. He can sneak you in. My chest tightened. I knew exactly how sensitive and risky this favor was. These days, secretly adding someone to the list could get you in serious trouble, and Aunt Yang was willing to take that risk for me. No, Aunt Yang, I declined outright. Why not? Don't you understand the world is about to undergo a massive change? She pressed, her tone almost panicked. Lowering my voice, I replied, I already have a shelter. Only then did she breathe a sigh of relief. That's good. I'm taking Qingyi and Hongxiu to Jean City shelter. If there's any chance, make sure to find us. After ending the call, I turned back toward the warehouse, where my RV caught my eye. A bold, sci-fi battle vehicle capable of unlimited evolution. This was my shelter. On the second to last day before the apocalypse, government actions became increasingly aggressive. Large numbers of soldiers began escorting scientists and elites to safety. The internet was abuzz with rumors. Some claimed a third world war was brewing. Others whispered about terrorists in Jean City. A few outright declared that doomsday was upon us. Arguments flared everywhere, but no one had solid evidence. Then came the final day. At the warehouse entrance, I lay in a chair soaking up the sun, mentally mapping my post-apocalyptic survival plan. Slay zombies, collect crystal cores, build firearms, manufacture Iron Man-style combat armor, develop evolution serums, construct water condensers, medical pods, and so on. The more I pondered, the more I drifted into slumber. By noon, the warmth of sunlight disappeared suddenly. The sky was still blue, and the sun hung high, but its radiance offered no warmth. Darkness and chills swept over the world like a swelling tide. I shot upright, clenching my fists. It's starting. It was exactly like my dream. The suffocating darkness, the bone-chilling cold, the zombies rampaging, the swarms of alien-like insects, titanic monsters roaring. Heart of Mechanica, stand by. I ordered coolly as I rose, my gaze icy. Energy fully charged. Ready for orders, it responded. I was about to issue my first command when a red Maserati came to a smooth halt at the warehouse entrance, its scarlet paint conspicuously eye-catching. A tall, elegant woman stepped out, the fitted black dress hugging her figure, her long hair cascading over her shoulders, and her legs perfectly slender. What are you doing here? My face darkened. The rental return date is almost here. I just stopped by to ask whether you'd like to extend the lease, she replied, leaning against the car door with an alluring grin. Glancing at her, I spoke plainly, though my words carried the cold weight of a verdict. Bad luck is coming your way. She frowned, impatience flashing across her face. I'm off duty. I'm simply here for business. If you're not renewing, the car will be retrieved by someone else. Her frosty demeanor emerged, masked by her earlier professionalism. Suit yourself, I said, turning away from her. Unbelievable, she muttered in frustration and turned to re-enter her car to leave. But at that moment, a frigid air enveloped the surroundings, and the daylight dimmed as though someone had turned down the world's brightness. She glanced up, only to stiffen in absolute shock. Hanging side by side in the sky, a blood moon and the sun painted an unsettling scene. The dual celestial presence emanated an eerie aura that gnawed at one's sanity. It started. My deep inhale seemed to echo the weight of the moment. My expression became even grimmer. Where the blood moon shone, the apocalypse followed. A sweeping blood-red glow would engulf the earth, signaling evolution and the culling of life. I'd been through it once before. I remained steady as a rock. The elegant manager, however, had started trembling uncontrollably. Even with her luxury fur thrown over her shoulders, the biting cold cut straight to the bones. Mr. Xing Tian, she stammered, her face flushed red and voice quivering. May I come inside for a bit? Somewhere with heating, preferably. Wait just a few minutes, I replied, my eyes fixed firmly on the sky. The blood moon will soon determine who gets eliminated. Assuming I was toying with her, she clenched her teeth and spat. Petty jerk, before turning to leave. A guttural, low-pitched howl echoed from the corner of the street. Pedestrians froze mid-step, their movements sluggish as though bound by an unseen force. A scream erupted, sharp and blood-curdling. On the street, a young woman within a couple clutched at her head, her body undergoing rapid distortions. Bloodshot eyes glared out from reddened sclera as her veins bulged against her skin and her skeleton hardened into a monstrous form. In an instant, she lunged at her boyfriend, snapping his neck and gnawing at his flesh as blood splattered the pavement. For a moment, the crowd stood paralyzed. Then chaos erupted as more people began to transform. Within seconds, the street descended into unrestrained madness. Bang! A lumbering, obese zombie slammed into the Maserati, causing the car to quake violently. The manager's face drained of all color. Z-zombies? This isn't a movie. Is there really a biological crisis? She froze in place out of fear, and a bloated zombie lunged at her, its blood-red eyes fixated on her, skeletal claws reaching for her throat. With death inching closer, she instinctively stepped back, crashing into a warm embrace. It was me, standing behind her. She grabbed me like I was her lifeline. Xing Tian, run. Run? These zombies are the weakest right now, I replied, stepping past her with a tone so calm it was chilling. Only then did she notice the blade I held in my hand, sharpened to perfection. Xing, the blade left its sheath with a metallic cry. I stepped forward. Before the zombie could come within 5 steps of me, its head was already flying through the air. The street was chaotic, with a dozen zombies chasing after panicked survivors. But I simply walked forward with my blade in hand. One step, one slash. One slash, one head. In less than 3 minutes, the desolate street fell silent, the ground littered with fallen zombies. Meng Xiaoyao was shell-shocked. Under a blood-red moon, in a world overrun by zombies, the man before her cut through them as if he were dicing vegetables, his expression void of emotion the entire time. I offered her no explanation, instead kneeling beside the nearest zombie to rip open its head, retrieving a crystalline nucleus embedded within. An energy crystal. 16 level 1 energy crystals, equivalent to 16 units of level 1 energy. After a quick calculation, I headed straight for the warehouse. Meng Xiaoyao hesitated for some time before gritting her teeth and following after me. Inside the RV, I opened the battle module interface on the control panel and selected my target. Weapon production module, capable of crafting level 1 weapons. Requirements: 10 units of level 1 energy, 100 pounds of metal. I dumped all 16 energy crystals into the power slot, which consumed them in an instant. Mechanical core. Energy increased by 16 units. Equip weapon production module. Module equipped successfully. From behind the driver's seat, a sleek weapon crafting unit rose into view. By feeding it the right materials and energy, weapons of all types could be manufactured, even firearms. I activated it, and the display flashed with a list of available options. Semi-automatic pistol, level 1, magazine of 20 rounds, effective against level 1 entities. Requirements for crafting: 10 pounds of metal, 5 units of level 1 energy. Magazine refill: 1 pound of metal per magazine. Automatic rifles, sniper rifles, machine guns, bladed weapons. A whole arsenal at my fingertips. My mind sharpened. Despite the limited energy, it would be enough to add precision sights, explosive rounds, or even an auto-targeting system later on. Without hesitation, I selected the semi-automatic pistol and ordered 10 extra magazines. A customization option popped up, and I switched the design to the iconic Desert Eagle. I pressed start. Mechanical core. Manufacturing in progress. Countdown, 59 seconds. I stepped outside and found Meng Xiaoyao trembling by the door. Xing Tian, did you already know this was going to happen? Is this really the end, a zombie apocalypse? Her eyes brimmed with tears, and she looked as if she might break at any moment. But I knew better. She wasn't that fragile. Suddenly reminded of my plan, I turned toward her. Yes. Meng Xiaoyao looked stunned. No wonder you rented this RV. If the world ends, you don't even have to return it. I smirked. I rented it fair and square. Why would I return it? She blinked, still doubtful. How did you know this would happen? Her persistent tone grated on me. Let's just say I've got my sources, I replied coolly. I gave her a sly smile. Let me guess, did you not make it onto the national shelter list? Her face paled at my words. The government really has shelters? So that means we've been abandoned. I glanced at her indifferently. Not we, you. Not me. I returned to the RV and opened the weapon crafting unit. Inside was the completed pistol along with neatly stacked magazines. I picked up the gun and turned to face her. Let's make a deal. You help me, and I'll keep you safe for a while. Once the job is done, I'll take you to safety and give you food and water to boot. I studied her reaction, my eyes gleaming with intent. Meng Xiaoyao shivered. What kind of work? Simple, I said. Harvesting crystals. I'll kill the zombies, and you'll extract the energy crystals from their brains. Her whole body shook. You want me to dig through their heads? But the thought of shelters and survival seemed to outweigh her fear. She clenched her fists and nodded. Fine, I'll do it. Good, I said. Get in. As she stepped into the RV, I allowed myself a wry smirk. She's in now, no escaping this. With a roar, the RV surged out of the warehouse. Just ahead was a small market, crammed with people, which meant a high probability of a zombie outbreak. Hundreds of them were likely swarming inside. I glanced at Meng Xiaoyao. Ever play bumper cars? She was caught off guard. At the amusement park, I guess? I chuckled darkly. Let me show you the real deal. At the warehouse exit, her sleek sports car sat blocking the way. She opened her mouth to suggest getting out to move it, but the RV suddenly accelerated. With a loud crash, I drove straight into her car. Not just into it, over it. The luxury sports car crumpled beneath the RV like paper, flattened into a mangled heap of scrap metal. The RV didn't even slow, roaring onto the main road like an unleashed beast. Meng Xiaoyao clung to her seat, too shocked to speak. In the apocalypse, even a multi-million-dollar car was nothing but useless junk. The RV bulldozed its way forward, smashing sedans aside and shoving trucks out of its path. Occasionally, a wandering zombie stumbled into view, but I didn't spare them a second glance, plowing through with my eyes fixed forward. Before long, we arrived at the gates of the Dashi Farmers Market. The eerie quiet inside was unsettling. Corpses littered the ground, but not a single zombie was in sight. Meng Xiaoyao's eyes lit up with hope. Maybe the military already cleared this area. I let out a cold laugh. Don't kid yourself. The military only protects. It's already been taken care of, I said as my gaze turned cold. The apocalypse isn't just about zombies. There are also behemoths and insect swarms. The Zerg swarm in masses, while behemoths travel solo. Their territorial instincts are strong. A single one of them can scare off a horde of zombies. A tightness gripped my chest as I muttered under my breath. There's definitely a behemoth in this market. Even within Tier 1 creatures, there are variations in strength, and behemoths always occupy the top spot. The apocalypse has just arrived, and ordinary zombies are still fragile as paper. But the appearance of a behemoth always signals a tough battle ahead. Xing Tian, what's wrong? Meng Xiaoyao noticed my silence and shrank nervously into her seat. We're about to meet an old friend. I smiled as I steered the RV into the farmer's market. Before Meng Xiaoyao could react, a sudden commotion in the depths of the market released a shadow, so large it blocked out the light. A saber-toothed boar, towering over two grown men, stomped forward. Its tusks were at least 2 meters long, and its hide was thick like armor. It let out an earth-shaking roar. Hourghchch. Its eyes burned with rage as it began scraping the ground aggressively, clearly perceiving our RV as its prey. Meng Xiaoyao's voice trembled. Is that the friend you were talking about? Yup. I smirked, my eyes turning icy. And it's quite enthusiastic. I slammed my foot on the gas pedal. The RV roared to life, charging forward as the saber-toothed boar bellowed in rage and galloped to meet us head-on, its heavy footsteps leaving deep craters behind. Wild boars are naturally fierce predators, several hundred pounds of pure aggression capable of killing people in one blow. Now, amplified into a mutant weighs several tons, this one could collapse buildings with its impact. Bang! A deafening crash shook the RV as the boar's tusks punctured the front. One tusk broke off, sending a spray of blood into the air. Enraged, the saber-toothed boar retaliated and charged once more. I refused to back down and pressed harder on the accelerator, ready to collide again. Asterisk bang. 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 Asterisk. Mecha core alert. Vehicle damage. 3%. 8%. 18%. 25%. Meng Xiaoyao clenched her seat with white knuckles, paralyzed with fear. She turned her head towards me, only to see a man driven by insanity, yet eerily calm in his demeanor. After 10 grueling minutes of battering, the saber-toothed boar finally succumbed to its injuries, collapsing to the ground with a guttural, pained howl. Blood coated its entire body, its head reduced to a pulpy mess devoid of its once menacing features. Mecha core alert. Vehicle damage. 45%. I grabbed my gun and blade, stepping out cautiously. I unloaded 10 more rounds into the beast to ensure it was truly dead before approaching. With my knife, I carved into its skull, revealing a glowing orb, a crystal the size of a fist shining brilliantly amidst the blood and gore. A Tier 1 life core. I grinned with exhilaration. These crystalline cores are common amongst zombies, behemoths, and insectoids. To my mecha core, they are nothing more than pure fuel. This massive one alone could provide several hundred units of energy, at least. No zombie horde nearby. Taking this thing down is definitely worth it. I finally sighed in relief. What I needed most was energy, enough to upgrade my battle vehicle into something indestructible. I weighed the crystal core in my hand before glancing at the boar's carcass. Clicking my tongue, I muttered, a shame. Properly prepared, this meat would replenish energy and speed up evolution. But wasting time harvesting wild boar meat was not on my agenda, so I climbed back into the RV without hesitation. Meng Xiaoyao, her hands still trembling and covered in blood, flinched at my cold demeanor, not daring to meet my eyes. I ignored her and opened the vehicle system interface, driving the crystalline core into the energy port. Mecha core update. 500 units of Tier 1 energy acquired. My eyes practically sparkled. I immediately flipped through the list of upgrade modules. Auto repair module, installable with 100 pounds of metal and 100 units of energy. External weapon system, installable with 1 ton of metal and 10 units of energy. The head-on collision with the boar left the vehicle 45% damaged. The outer shell was split nearly in half, threatening to fall apart any moment. I installed the auto repair module first, followed by the external weapon system. Mecha core, energy and materials deducted. Installation successful. I commanded the system to repair the vehicle immediately. Mecha core, repairs require 320 pounds of metal and 87 units of energy. Confirm. With 500 fresh energy units, I didn't hesitate. Confirmed. A countdown appeared on the interface. In just 2.5 minutes, the RV seemed to reverse its own damage. Dents popped back into shape, cracks sealed themselves, shattered components fused together, and the vehicle looked flawlessly brand new. Meanwhile, a structure emerged from the roof of the RV, a newly mounted external weapon station. I tapped the weapons menu. Available options: Gatling gun, vehicle-mounted RPG rocket, sonic weapon, energy cannon. Without much thought, I selected the Gatling gun and assigned its position to Meng Xiaoyao's side of the RV. The manufacturing process began, quickly draining some energy and resources. Suppressing the urge to dig deeper into my upgrades, I decided this RV was sufficient for now to start hunting monsters for more crystal cores. In my dreams, my flimsy Japanese sedan couldn't withstand a single hit from a behemoth, forcing me to flee constantly. But now, to kill a beast head-on like this, I couldn't ask for a better sense of satisfaction. Suddenly, Meng Xiaoyao's shaky voice brought me back to reality. Xing Tian, there's something outside. Her tone was brittle, filled with dread. I turned to her. What is it? She pointed through the RV window, breaking into a panicked scream. Zombies. Zombies. So many of them. From the shadows of the farmer's market, hordes of zombies began to pour out, their rotting flesh glistening under the dim light. Their numbers grew rapidly as their dark eyes locked onto us, blood dripping freshly from jagged, exposed teeth. I narrowed my eyes, scanning the scene carefully. Lowering my voice, I deduced grimly. The boar's death lifted its territorial pressure. Naturally, the zombies are returning. Or maybe, they were drawn here by the scent of blood. Watching the growing swarm encircle us, I couldn't help but smirk darkly. Looks like dinner's served. Meng Xiaoyao was on the verge of breaking down. Are you insane? We're going to be surrounded. Dead. Her heart cried, even louder internally. Still a virgin. Meng Xiaoyao's heart sank. She felt this might actually be the end. I, on the other hand, was exhilarated and commanded instantly. Mechanical heart, build another Gatling gun. I'll give you 500 pounds of metal, for both the gun and the bullets. Mechanical heart responded promptly. Processing. Time remaining, 59 seconds. Though a minute seemed short, outside the RV, a massive horde of zombies surged forward. Zombies were deadly for their fearlessness of death and their infectious bites. Once they clustered, the danger easily multiplied. Meng Xiaoyao suddenly noticed something off. They're not attacking the RV. It's like they haven't even noticed us. Following the direction the zombies were heading, she realized they had surrounded the corpse of the tusked giant boar, fighting over its blood and flesh, not coming for us. Guess we're safe for now. Meng Xiaoyao exhaled in relief. I, however, asked her bluntly, can you use a gun? Like a Gatling, one that goes rat-tat-tat? Gatling. Meng Xiaoyao stared at me, puzzled. Are you serious? You know guns are illegal in China, right? I smirked and snapped my fingers. Mechanical heart, bring her the user manual. Right as I spoke, part of the RV wall deconstructed and reassembled itself in futuristic style. A sleek black machine gun materialized out of thin air. Floating above the gun was a translucent screen labeled Gatling No. 1, with detailed operating instructions displayed step by step. Meng Xiaoyao blinked in complete disbelief. Earlier that morning, she was still clocking in for work. Abruptly, the apocalypse broke out. Zombie swarms, giant mutated boars, and now the RV briefly morphing into a gun manufacturing monstrosity. Suppressing her mounting existential crisis, Meng Xiaoyao bit her lip and forced herself to read the manual. Outside, the zombies fought savagely over chunks of the boar flesh, their movements wild and chaotic, like a farmer's market devolving into straight-up hell. Ding! Ammo attached successfully. I picked up the gun and aimed it directly at the dense horde outside. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat. A torrent of bullets swept through the front row of zombies, instantly shredding them and releasing a massive spray of blood and mist. Angered, the remaining zombies roared ferociously and turned to charge toward the RV, slamming against its body and clawing at its windows. The entire swarm descended into complete madness in mere moments. I, however, only got more pumped, holding the trigger unabated, the rotating barrel spitting out rounds in a relentless rain of death. The bullets cut through the zombies like a harvest scythe, dropping them in heaps. Just seconds later, over 100 zombies lay dead. And the RV? Not even a scratch. Originally durable on its own, it was now reinforced by the power of the mechanical heart, making it virtually impervious to the zombies' relentless attacks. I grinned. What a windfall. I had initially set out for the zombie cluster at the farmer's market, but ran into the tusked giant boar first. With the beast slaughtered and its crystalline core consumed by the RV, I produced a Gatling gun straight away. From here on, mowing down zombies would be a breeze, like slicing through butter. The excitement coursed through me, making my body tremble. This was the dreamy apocalypse start I'd craved for years. In my recurring nightmares, I'd been driving a junky Japanese car, struggling and petrified at every step. Nothing like this calm confidence now. On the first day of the apocalypse, even after awakening the mechanical heart ability, I still spent all my effort just staying alive. By the second day, I'd hardly gasped for air before I got killed by some wandering giant beast on the third. Weakness is a sin. Kill. Kill them all. A relentless bloodlust surged within me as I shouted. Next to me, Meng Xiaoyao cast a hesitant glance at me, but then grudgingly followed the manual steps to operate the Gatling gun. Rat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat. The second Gatling gun unleashed its fiery onslaught simultaneously. Bullets poured like torrential rain, tearing through the zombie horde inside the market. After what felt like forever, only about 20 zombies remained, hiding behind buildings, too terrified to reveal themselves. So sore, Meng Xiaoyao sighed, dripping sweat, her hands trembling with exhaustion. Take a break. You did great, I told her, finally easing off the trigger as the weapon's barrel glowed hotly. Breathing a sigh of relief, she slumped into a chair and promptly fell asleep. Between all the chaos, from vehicular crashes and tangling with the tusked boar to tirelessly firing at the undead, she was utterly drained. However, I remained full of energy. I holstered a pistol and stepped out to dispatch the final scattered zombies. The market, sprawling as it was, took me a solid half-hour to comb through before ensuring the area was clear. Now came the real payday. Most of these zombies had emerged from the market or its surrounding areas. Congested by the boar's menacing presence before it died, they never dared step into its territory. With the boar dead and its blood spilling, they had only come swarming over, drawn by the scent of spilled blood. Despite my own fatigue, I couldn't help but beam at the sight of the carnage. Lying everywhere were crystal nuclei. Rolling up my sleeves determinately, I began extracting the cores from the zombies' skulls one by one. Meanwhile, Meng Xiaoyao stirred groggily from her uneasy nap, shivering as the night air swept in through the cracks of the RV. The stillness of the surroundings, coupled with the creeping darkness, was downright unnerving. Is it nighttime already? She muttered. Grabbing her phone, which could now only function as a clock, since the network had collapsed, she checked the time. 6:47 p.m. The first night of the apocalypse was bone-chillingly cold. Stretching her stiff shoulder, Meng Xiaoyao glanced out the window. There I was, moving methodically, cracking open skulls to retrieve crystal nuclei. A pouch at my waist was bulging with what seemed like dozens of them. What kind of person is he? She mumbled to herself, her cheeks flushing faintly. Summoning her courage, she stepped out of the RV. Let me help you. Oh, you're awake? Perfect timing, I said, handing her a dagger. No more words were exchanged. We bent down and immersed ourselves in the tedious, grisly task. The dark night pressed down heavily, thick as ink. Once the darkness fully descended, Visibility was reduced to almost nothing beyond 10 meters. It's only 11 p.m. Why does it already feel this dark? Meng Xiaoyao whispered, looking up at the sky. Suspended above was a blood-red moon. Under the ominous, blood-red sky. Go ask the sun, I said with a casual smile. Meng Xiaoyao glared at me. That joke's even colder. Get back to the car, I said, quickly packing up. Past midnight. It's their hunting ground. Meng Xiaoyao shuddered at my words, immediately falling into step behind me. But isn't this area cleared of zombies? Are there still dangers past midnight? I glanced back at her, my tone calm enough to freeze. Rest up. We'll hunt more tomorrow. Don't leave the RV tonight. And don't look outside, I added sharply. Hand me the bag. Her nerves getting the better of her, Meng obediently handed over the bag. I poured 2 sacks of crystals straight into the energy converter. Mechanical core, plus 652 units of level 1 energy gathered. I wasn't thrilled despite the amount we gained. The Gatling gun made quick work of the zombie hordes, sure, but it shattered many energy crystals, scattering the power to waste. If I took my time collecting each crystal intact, it'd be more efficient. But it was too slow, and time wasn't on our side. Today was only the first day of the apocalypse. Blood moon hung heavy, and monsters were at their weakest. By tomorrow or the day after, they'd evolve rapidly. Level 2 and Level 3 beasts would emerge. I had died a humiliating death in my past life from a gigantic black monster, likely Level 3. A single punch from that thing obliterated our reinforced combat vehicle. It ripped me out and crushed me like pulp. I tensed at the memory. Xing Tian. I want to take a shower. Meng hesitated, her cheeks red. If water's tight, I can just wipe down. She understood how precious resources were now. Go shower, I said, shaking off my thoughts. We'll have more water than we need in the next few days. She looked puzzled but didn't argue, rushing to the bathroom. I turned back to the control panel, determination stealing my resolve. It's going to rain blood tomorrow. There's no avoiding it. I needed to craft a rainwater collector and purifier immediately, and I couldn't keep relying on just the RV. I had to make some genetic enhancement serums. If a situation arises and I don't even have the strength to run, I might as well dig my own grave. If I had even a level 1 enhancement back then, I wouldn't have died like that. Next time I see you, I muttered to the memory of that monster. 100 missile rounds right between your eyes. Focusing back, I began placing orders for production. Rainwater collector, 10 pounds of metal, 10 level 1 energy points. Water purifier, 100 pounds of metal, 100 level 1 energy points. Genetic enhancement serum crafting station, 500 pounds of metal, 500 energy points. Build, build, build. The materials and energy dwindled rapidly. 2 devices were now mounted to the outside of the RV, and the interior was fitted with a small crafting station. The already cramped space felt suffocating. I frowned. Upgrading the RV's dimensional space required 10 tons of metal and 1,000 level 1 energy points, something I couldn't afford right now. Make do for now, I muttered to myself. Walking up to the crafting station, I studied the panel. No serum blueprints available. Research and create new blueprints. I invested 50 level 1 energy points to kickstart research. Mechanical core, research countdown. 8 hours, 25 minutes, and 59 seconds. 8 hours. I exhaled, excitement creeping in. By morning, I'll have enhancement serums ready. A while later, Meng Xiaoyao stepped out of the bathroom, her face even redder. She was wearing my oversized shirt and pants, fidgeting awkwardly. Xing Tian, I borrowed your clothes. Hope that's okay. You're already wearing them. Why ask now? I smirked, grabbing my change of clothes and heading to the bathroom myself. Once I was gone, Meng's heart pounded anxiously. The apocalypse had arrived, and with most shelters shutting out regular people, she'd been lucky, no, blessed, to survive by sticking with someone like me. But zombies were only the beginning. She kept thinking about that nightmarish giant fang boar ripping through hordes of zombies like paper. She felt a chill run down her spine. Making up her mind, Meng realized I'd never pressured or threatened her. Yet I laid bare the apocalypse's harshest truths. It was almost like pushing her into choosing, making her resist the darkness on her own terms. But then, she couldn't help but shiver. She thought of how brutal I was at dispatching zombies. What if one day, I turned and crushed her too. Lost in her spiraling thoughts, she barely noticed I'd already come back, fresh from my shower, hair dried. I collapsed straight into bed, out cold. Ming mustered up her courage, creeping over to me. Her voice was shaky but determined. Xing Tian, promise me, you'll be gentle. Before she could finish, she stopped mid-sentence, realizing I was sound asleep, completely unguarded. Out cold, she flushed crimson, embarrassment flooding her as she scolded herself mentally. What am I doing? She forced herself to calm down, rationalizing aloud. Well, he did do a lot today. Of course, he's exhausted. Grumbling, she pulled the blanket over me, muttering as she adjusted it. So cold already. Are you trying to freeze to death? You're not made of iron, you know. Satisfied, Ming laid beside me, innocently staring at my face. The longer she looked, the more chaotic her thoughts became. I hadn't even bothered learning her name, yet my words and actions were as if we had been together forever. Meng Xiaoyao shook herself out of it, muttering softly, Xing Tian, you scheming bastard. You think I can't tell you've been planning all this? As the night grew colder, another shiver racked her body. Giving up, she darted under the blankets and lay close beside me. In that stolen warmth, she glanced at me for what felt like hours. Suddenly, she chuckled to herself. You win, you liar. The first night of the apocalypse drifted by like that. Tick, tick, tick. The sound of rain tapping against the roof woke me. Sitting up, I noticed the blanket someone had thrown over me. It was her, I murmured, glancing over to see Ming fast asleep nearby. The corner of my lips curled. Mechanical core, I said, voice steady. Turn the lights on. With a faint click, the RV's lights blazed to life. Outside the small windows, sheets of torrential rain lashed against the vehicle, the world beyond drowned in the blood-stained chaos of the apocalypse. The rain pounded against the windshield with a violent patter, its eerie crimson color unsettling to behold. My heart sank. Cold weather plus torrential rain. Is this how we slide straight into an ice age? I muttered to myself, quickly dismissing the thought. No, this was blood rain. I'd endured 2 days of this in my dreams before. Other than its unsettling color, it wasn't harmful, at least not immediately. Most likely a result of the blood moon effect. A mechanical voice broke my thoughts. Master, the gene evolution serum has been successfully developed. I responded coolly, making my way to the workstation. A simple gesture brought the control panel to life. Among the research schematics, a new entry had appeared. Gene Evolution Serum, Level 1. Gene Evolution Serum, Level 1. Description: a Level 1 product from the research of life force. It condenses a life seed, granting human evolution. Production requirements: 100 units of Level 1 energy, 10 pounds of metal. My mechanical war vehicle had the potential to upgrade indefinitely. Rocket launchers, Gatling guns, steel battle suits, even star-destroying cannons, annihilation bombs, and intergalactic mechs. But biotech? That was a whole different beast. The Gene Evolution Serum was the trump card. 1 dose, and an ordinary human transforms into an evolved being. The database was already clear about the cause of all this. The apocalypse was tied to the sun. After a solar storm, the mysterious light of life appeared. It gave rise to the possibility of evolution. Rocks, plants, insects, beasts, even humans, all could mutate and evolve. While others gambled for a chance at survival, I didn't have that kind of luck. But I had an advantage. Manufacture 1 dose. The mechanical voice began the countdown. 59 seconds. Exactly 1 minute later, the glass shield over the workstation popped open, releasing a swirl of mist. Inside lay a small vial of serum, only as long as a finger. Without hesitation, I grabbed it, popped the cap off, and downed it in one go. No taste, I noted flatly, just before the storm hit. In the next moment, it felt as though every droplet of blood in my body ignited. My muscles and bones vibrated violently, forcing me into ragged breaths. Outside, the dense, nearly black life energy seemed to pierce through the vehicle's shell and flood directly into my body. I struggled against the sensation before finally collapsing back into the driver's seat, drenched in sweat. My exterior showed no physical changes yet, but inside, it felt like I'd been stuffed with dynamite. Muscle, bone, internal organs, every part of me had been doubled in strength. This wasn't training. It was a complete physiological reconstruction. But the most crucial thing had emerged. Closing my eyes, I turned my focus inward. At the center of my brow pulsed a new presence, a tiny life seed. Legends have long claimed the space between one's brows is where a third eye resides, a celestial eye, the seat of divine vision. Some even say humans once had a long-forgotten organ here before it atrophied. I opened my eyes, excitement burning within. This brow, it was the key to evolution. The ancient data from the ruins had mentioned the lowest tier of life seeds was black iron, and those who possessed it were called black iron life forms. The moment a life seed fully formed, it marked the transformation of a living being. This black iron seed alone, my baseline strength is probably already at least 1,000 pounds, I assessed, clenching my fist as an electric thrill coursed through me. At full sprint, I could run 100 meters in 7 or 8 seconds. World-class athletes wouldn't even come close. Just yesterday, I'd been an ordinary human. Now, a single vial had propelled me beyond the realm of humanity, and this life seed could evolve further. The black iron tier was just the beginning, leading to higher and higher levels. Right now, even global powers hadn't fully grasped those limits. All I knew was that black iron had 9 levels to climb. Mechanical heart, scan my body. Profile, Xing Tian. Species, human. Class, evolutionary. Talent, undying blood. Level, black iron 1. Description, ancient bloodline, inheritance of immortality. Undying blood. Talent type, mythic. Talent level, 1. Effect, grants, defy fatality. Blood rejuvenation, axe mastery, shield mastery. Defy fatality. Grade, ultimate. Description, you have no fatal weaknesses. Even if your head were severed, you could continue to fight. Blood rejuvenation. Level 1. Description, consume blood to regenerate your body. Axe mastery. Level 1. Description, increased power when wielding axe-type weapons. Shield mastery. Level 1. Description, increased toughness when wielding shield-type weapons. I stared at the name on the interface, asterisk Xing Tian star. My chest tightened. Could it be a coincidence? My hand pressed over my heart as unease crept in. Most people awakened with basic enhancement talents through evolution. I, on the other hand, had somehow stumbled onto a mythical inheritance. A name with ominous weight, Xing Tian, the warrior who defied the Yellow Emperor. I pushed the doubts back. The early stages of the apocalypse favored guns and other firearms. No monster, no matter how mutated, could withstand ballistic fire. I needed to stock up on resources. Energy reserves were running low, though I still had enough materials to churn out a round of crystal cores. Sitting back at the console, I fired up the combat vehicle, its engine roaring as I left the dilapidated market behind. To the right was the Jinjiang River. To the left, residential quarters and a commercial district. The residential area had zombies scattered too thinly. It wouldn't be efficient to kill them one by one. The commercial district, however, was packed with foot traffic in its heyday, which meant the zombies here would be plentiful and juicy. The blood rain poured down, laced with gusty winds. The sky dimmed ominously, as though trapped in a permanent twilight. Even with the sun and moon both visible, their light couldn't pierce through. Thanks to my newly enhanced vision, I pushed forward in spite of the weather, the RV's roof shielding me from the elements. On the way, I rammed through a few stray zombies before parking at the entrance of the commercial district. 3 zombies darted out from the shadows, their bloodshot eyes locked on my vehicle with predatory hunger. Hopping down from the RV, I dispatched them with a few clean headshots. The gunfire roused Meng Xiaoyao from her sleep. When her groggy eyes spotted me clearing zombies outside, she steadied herself, grabbed a bag and a knife, and climbed down to help collect crystal cores. Just yesterday, the sight of blood had left her retching. Now, she could pry open skulls expressionlessly to retrieve cores. I didn't stop her, instead keeping my focus on scanning the street ahead. The once bustling business street was now desolate, with groups of a dozen or so zombies aimlessly wandering about, a dense sea of them filling the view. Didn't spot any behemoths. I exhaled in relief, returning to the side of the RV. Standing at the doorway, drenched from head to toe, Meng Xiaoyao looked like a soggy, pitiful chick. I threw her a quick command, stay inside. Don't step out in the rain. The RV's engine roared as we drove toward the center of the street. In the rain, the headlights and engine noise stabbed through the silence. A swarm of zombies was drawn out, roaring as they banged against the vehicle. And yet, it didn't feel chaotic enough to me. Grinning, I cranked up the external speakers and blasted Little Apple at full volume. Asterisk, you're my little darling, Little Apple. Like the prettiest cloud up in the sky. Spring comes again, and the hills bloom with flowers. Plant your hopes, and you'll reap joy. Asterisk. The moment the song burst out of the RV speakers, it tore apart the eerie silence of the street like a grenade. There were plenty of shops lining both sides of this street, with zombies huddled inside the ground floors. But when the music started blaring, they came pouring out like they'd been yanked out forcefully. Within moments, the street was packed with a growing horde, crazed and roaring, swarming the RV and boxing it in. Inside the RV, Meng Xiaoyao was dumbfounded, her brain seemingly short-circuited as she turned to see me tapping my foot to the rhythm. The apocalypse was pretty much breathing down our necks, and here I was, grooving like it was a dance party. Get the Gatling guns ready, I ordered. With a click-clack, the outer panels of the RV split open, revealing two ominous gun barrels. Meng Xiaoyao immediately grabbed hold of her mounted machine gun. Open fire, I commanded. The next instant, a cacophony of gunfire erupted as bullets rained down like a monsoon. The zombies, hammering away at the RV's exterior in vain, were hoping to wear the steel down with sheer persistence. But before they could even react to the gun's unveiling, a deluge of bullets turned the front line into minced flesh. But zombies, being zombies, weren't the type to balk at death. They doubled down, trampling the carnage as they pressed forward with unrelenting ferocity. A horde like this could overwhelm a standard military squad, but there was no way their decayed hands were piercing through the reinforced armor of the RV. So I decided against retreating. Both Gatlings spun wildly, spitting fire in all directions, mowing down the oncoming waves without pause. In the rain, this surreal symphony of zombie shrieks, gunfire, and Little Apple created an unholy mix, as blood sprayed and guts splattered, transforming the street into a literal slaughterhouse. Meng Xiaoyao grit her teeth, finding her rhythm as she fired steadily. At some point, that song blasting out of the speakers, she started finding it oddly tolerable. Her leg, without her realizing, even bounced slightly in time with the beat. Half an hour later, with the song still on loop, no more zombies emerged from the stores. The street was covered with mangled corpses and pools of coagulated blood. What was once a clean pathway was now a hellscape, and the business district had been effectively cleared. I set down the overheated barrels, pulling out a handgun to dispatch the stragglers still crawling toward us. Near the RV door, a zombified elderly woman, barely holding herself together, crawled forward in tattered remnants of clothing. The words New Oriental Square Dance Academy were printed faintly on her blouse. I sighed, stepping out of the RV to stand before her as she slowly dragged herself closer. Even in death, she crawls for the love of square dancing. Truly, a tragic love story. Meng Xiaoyao nearly choked at my words, laughing. What the hell does square dancing have to do with love? The granny zombie finally reached me, growling her head off as she lunged to bite. Bang! One clean headshot put her down for good. Dinner's served, I announced. It's called scavenging, not dinner, Meng Xiaoyao retorted, rolling her eyes as she grabbed a knife and a bag, heading outside. With practiced efficiency, Meng Xiaoyao began harvesting crystal cores from the zombies' heads. I watched her retreating back, my expression growing solemn as I turned my gaze toward the far end of the commercial street, toward a restaurant called Starving for More. Before the apocalypse, I had warned Yunyi's family to stock up on water and food and to stay indoors for that day. But really, who would take such a warning seriously? The first day of the blood moon had passed. Those who survived, those who became zombies, and those who awakened powers, they were all mixed up out there now. Whether the Yun family was alive or not, no one knew. All this singing and zombie luring was me testing the waters. If the Yun family had turned, they'd have been drawn out by now. But there had been no movement at all from that direction. After shutting off the speakers, I started walking toward the restaurant. The store's sign had shattered, and its doors were bent out of shape. Grabbing hold of the twisted metal, I yanked hard, the screech of steel echoing as the door reluctantly gave way. Inside the shop, a couple of zombie corpses lay sprawled out, with broken furniture strewn everywhere. Behind the rubble of shattered wood, a young girl lay motionless on the floor, eerily serene as if she were asleep. Yunyi. I recognized her instantly and stepped forward to approach. 2 steps in, a sudden jolt tightened my chest. My heart skipped a beat, the chill crawling down my spine, freezing me in place. Carefully, I scanned the surroundings. The air was too quiet, oppressively so, lacking the usual rotten stench or any hint of movement. My eyes flicked back to Yunyi. Her smile was unsettlingly sweet. Her clothes were intact, and not a single scratch marred her pale skin. Too perfect, too clean. Narrowing my eyes, I smirked and deliberately closed the distance, crouching down as if to check her breathing. Still alive? I murmured. The very next moment, a glint of silver shot through the air. A massive snakehead, easily the size of a basketball, lunged out from the shadows, its fangs aimed right at my neck. With a sickening snap, my head was bitten clean off, tumbling to the ground as blood gushed from the stump of my neck. From the darkness, a 2-headed serpent slithered out, avoiding Yun-Yi as it coiled menacingly around my now headless body, preparing to devour its meal. But just as it opened its jaws wide, my corpse blinked. The 2-headed snake froze in confusion. I raised a hand, gripping my pistol, and fired several shots point-blank. Asterisk bang. 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 Asterisk one of its heads exploded into bloody chunks. Enraged, the remaining head lunged at me, grabbing its jaws with both hands. I snarled, unleashing an inhuman strength as I ripped it apart down the middle, tearing it into 2 bloody halves. Coldly smirking, I reached down to pick up my own head and pressed it back onto my neck. A surge of energy surged through me, and the decapitation wound sealed almost instantly. Recovered, not even a scar left. Head chopped off, yet still alive, and even managed to counterkill the ambushing monster. Anyone who saw that would have screamed in shock. This ambush. It was a death trap I had written for the enemy. Using my undying blood, I pretended to be fatally injured, baiting the hidden attacker into revealing themselves. The ambusher never imagined I could still move after losing my head. The moment they showed up, they met their end. I had it all calculated. I'm only an Iron rank level 1. At most, those able to sense me would be around Iron rank level 2. Assassin-type monsters tend to hit hard, but have fragile bodies. I massaged my shoulder while staring at the corpse of the double-headed snake. This thing could snap a neck with one bite, and its speed was insane. But once caught by me, it's game over. Better be a level 2. Give me that sweet, sweet level 2 energy. Rubbing my hands together like opening a lottery ticket, I ripped through its bloody flesh. Soon enough, I dug out 2 thumb-sized, oval-shaped green crystals from its corpse. Colored. Level 2 cores. My eyes lit up. Level 1 cores are mostly colorless. Stashing the crystals away, I turned my attention to Yun-Yi, feeling a bit suspicious. How the hell did the double-headed snake slip into the diner, and she's still alive? My guess? Someone kept her around as bait to lure in their prey before striking. I walked over, picked her up, and carried her back to the RV. The moment Meng Xiaoyao saw me carrying a girl, she rolled her eyes. I'm out here working my ass off, and you're out picking up chicks. Her expression quickly shifted. Hold up. Isn't she that girl from the other day? I nodded. Wash her up. Let her rest. Meng Xiaoyao groaned, rubbing her sore shoulder, as she reluctantly took the girl inside the RV. I grabbed my weapon and got right back to it, scavenging cores from the street littered with monster corpses. 1, 2, 3. The blood-soaked nightmare around me looked more like a gold mine in my eyes. Before long, Meng Xiaoyao reappeared, knife in hand, helping me sift through the mess. It was filthy work and time-consuming. I'd kill for a robot to do this, but making one would demand way more than just a few level 1 or 2 crystals. Finally, we cleared the street. The 2 of us sat there, staring at a pouch filled with cores. Despite being dead tired, we couldn't hide the satisfaction. Meng Xiaoyao stretched lazily, complaining, I'm wiped. I didn't waste words. Let's head back. Once the door sealed shut, I opened the energy conversion chamber and started tossing in level 1 cores one by one. Mechanical core, 480 points of level 1 energy acquired. I nodded, decent haul. Next up were the level 2 cores. Mechanical core, 150 points of level 2 energy acquired. The double-headed snake might have seemed fearsome, but among level 2 creatures, it wasn't exactly top tier. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to tear it apart as an iron rank level 1. 2 cores, 150 points total, still, not bad at all. Taking a moment to think, I opened the vehicle's control interface. Chassis, weapons system, alchemy lab, interior space. Options galore, but upgrading the chassis required a ton of metal, and my reserves were practically gone. Every tweak demanded upwards of 10 tons. Where was I going to find that much? Guess the search for metal has to move up the schedule. Pre-apocalypse, I mapped it all out. Upgrade the battle vehicle, clear monsters in bulk, enhance equipment, then finally, develop evolution serums. Finding metal was always part of the plan. Right next to the warehouse I looted earlier, there's another one belonging to Iron Skulls Incorporated, a well-known metal supplier in Jincheng. Supposedly, they've got over 100 tons of material stockpiled there. That place is only a few kilometers away. Eyes glinting at the thought, I immediately clicked on the weapons system. My gaze locked onto the Asterisk vehicle-mounted RPG launcher. Asterisk requires 1,000 pounds of metal and level 1 energy. In the apocalypse, hoarding resources only gets you killed. Better to turn them into firepower. I'll take it. Install the vehicle-mounted RPG launcher. A countdown began. Moments later, the top of the vehicle bulked up, revealing the launcher's barrel. A new weapon interface synced online. 10 seconds per shot. Upgradable. Without hesitation, I issued another command. Upgrade. Most of the level 2 energy was consumed instantly. In under a minute, the launcher's barrel thickened, its presence far more intimidating now. The interface updated. Asterisk, medium vehicle-mounted RPG launcher. Asterisk, faster missiles, more devastating power. I knew well enough. Your standard RPG could blow apart lightly armored targets, but would barely scratch the surface of heavy armor. But this was no standard RPG. One missile could rip through even my mechanical battle vehicle if I wasn't careful. Narrowing my eyes, I smirked to myself. Next time I run into one of those razorback behemoths, I'll send it flying. Right then, Meng Xiaoyao came out of the bathroom, catching me mid-smirk. What's got you so happy? She asked. Reeling in the grin, I shrugged. Nothing. By the way, don't think I ever got your name. Meng Xiaoyao shot me a look. You've had me working like a dog for days, and you're just asking now. It's Meng Xiaoyao. Meng, as in Confucius and Mencius. Xiaoyao, as in little mischievous demon. Looking straight at her, I let my voice drop. Nice name. My gaze lingered a moment too long, burning just enough to make her stiffen, unconsciously stepping back, her heart skipping a beat. She depended on me, yet didn't dare step any closer. 19 years of walls weren't going to come down that easily. The RV felt deathly quiet. The tension was thick. I didn't force it, though. Just kept watching her, like admiring a prize I wasn't quite ready to let go of. Meng Xiaoyao's face flushed bright red as she gritted her teeth and asked, Xing Tian, can I ask you a few questions? I grinned. Go ahead. Meng Xiaoyao fixed her gaze on me, her tone serious. You fell asleep first last night. Weren't you afraid I'd kill you in your sleep? I replied calmly. I trust you. Her expression grew even sharper. When you first asked for my help, you had already decided not to let me leave, hadn't you? After a brief pause, I nodded. Yes. Meng Xiaoyao's face faltered, and she muttered under her breath, Liar. You win. A strange warmth spread through my chest as I moved closer. Above us, the sun shared the sky with a blood-red moon, and crimson rain had been pouring since the night before, as though it aimed to shatter the world. Yunyi was stirred awake by the cold wind. She shrank into her blanket to warm up, but suddenly bolted upright. Where am I? She mumbled, her voice trembling. She frantically scanned the surroundings, a luxurious bed, a sofa, a TV, and rows of unfamiliar gadgets. As her hands grasped the edge of the bed to steady herself, a realization hit her. This is Xing Tian's RV. Her pale face broke into a relieved grin. It really was him. He saved me. Her parents were gone. I was the only person she could rely on now. Panicking, she called out helplessly, Xing Tian, where are you? The voice of my AI companion, Mechanical Heart, pinged in my head. Master, Miss Yunyi has woken up. My eyes slitted slightly in irritation. I told you before, don't bother me. Mechanical Heart continued, unfazed. Should I issue a removal directive? I froze. Removal for what? The AI responded bluntly. When she approached earlier, I did notify you. You didn't respond. I scowled sharply. Shut up. That unsettled feeling bubbled in my chest. I'd evolved into something beyond human, and yet I hadn't sensed her getting close. Carelessness could be as deadly as kindness. Many lives had ended at the hands of soft-heartedness. I couldn't afford that mistake. In the RV's small lounge, Yun-E sat huddled on the sofa, her cheeks red, her gaze averted nervously. Well, look who's awake, I teased lightly as I walked in. Yun-E nodded quickly, her voice soft. Xing Tian, thank you for saving me. I dropped the playful tone. What about your parents? Before the world fell apart, didn't I warn you all? I made it clear, do exactly what I said, and as long as no one turned into a zombie, you'd be okay for 3 or 4 days. Yun-E's calm shattered as tears spilled down her face. It's all my fault, they died because of me. Through broken sobs, she explained. Before things unraveled, they had prepared food and water, just as I'd advised. They even found a safe hideaway. But her stubborn parents had still insisted on opening their shop for business on the fateful day. She hadn't been able to stop them. When the zombies charged in, it was a bloodbath. Chaos erupted within seconds, but her parents fought hard, taking out the zombies with weapons they'd stashed. Yet it was too late. Their restaurant had already become a graveyard. Last night, they sought refuge back in their ruined restaurant. Others nearby cried out for help, and Yun's mother, overcome with compassion, opened the door. That moment sealed her fate. Bandits ambushed them, killing her on the spot. Yun-E's father shoved her into a locked cabinet, arming himself to fight their attackers. He fought to his last breath, but was overwhelmed. Those raiders? They weren't just murderers. One of them did the unthinkable to Yun's mother's lifeless body. Trapped in the cabinet, Yun-E was powerless. All she could do was watch in silent horror as her family was torn apart, her eyes soaked in blood and despair. Right when she thought she might lose her sanity, an unimaginable heat surged through her body. From the shadowy corners of the cabinet, a small black snake emerged. In her blind rage, she realized she could control it. Fueled by vengeance, she unleashed the snake on the raiders. It attacked from the darkness, striking swiftly and fatally, leaving none alive. The snake grew stronger as it devoured them, swelling grotesquely into a two-headed monstrosity. But its newfound power turned it against its master. It broke open the cabinet and tried to consume Yun-E as well. Fortunately, an unknown force protected her, giving her a window to escape the RV. That was when she collapsed on the road. Xing Tian, it's my fault, she sobbed. If I had stopped my mom from opening the door, none of this would have happened. If I had summoned that snake the moment the zombies attacked, my parents might still be alive. You warned us, but She couldn't finish. The life had drained from her once vivid face, leaving only misery. Suppressing the frustration boiling inside me, I forced myself to offer words of comfort. The truth was, I knew this world was now more dangerous than any zombie or mutated monster. It was humans that posed the greatest threat. Don't be afraid. As long as you're with me, you'll be fine. I pulled her into a gentle hug, lightly patting her trembling shoulders. Yun-E tilted her tear-streaked face upwards, a frail, crooked smile flickering. I just kept thinking you'd come save me, no matter what. Ruffling her hair, I responded sincerely, you've awakened a gift. Blood moons like this brought upheaval across the globe. I'd seen countless bizarre powers in my dreams. Mechanical Heart, scan her stats. Yun-E, race, human. Class, evolver. Trait, the world-devouring serpent. Level, Iron rank 1. The world-devouring serpent. Type, mythical. Tier, level 1. Description, master of shadows, summoning power. Warning, summoner is too weak. Beware of potential backlash. A summoning ability, with a risk of it turning on you? I muttered aloud, frowning. I laid out the basics for her in simple terms, careful not to overwhelm her. Even so, her expression screamed confusion. I don't get it. I sighed heavily. If you don't understand, don't worry about it for now. Just rest for now. I'll protect you. Yeah. She nodded and softly whispered, I don't really understand talent. But as long as I can help you, I'm willing to do anything. That's all I need to hear. Go grab something to eat. I had Meng Xiaoyao prepare some food while I turned around to activate the battle vehicle screen and pulled up the map of Jin City. Before the apocalypse, I had already studied Jin City's map inside and out, even marking the target points ahead of time. Mechanical Heart, plot the route to the Steel Skull warehouse. Mechanical Heart, connecting route, displayed. The screen lit up, showing the starting point at the battle vehicle and the destination at the warehouse. Let's move. The two warehouses were separated by several kilometers, with Jinjiang Bridge lying in between. As we reached the bridgehead, I saw the bridge deck that looked like it had been swept by a natural disaster. Abandoned cars were piled high like barricades, bodies strewn in all directions, and zombies staggered between the gaps in the wreckage. Troublesome. A motorcycle could probably weave through, but this battle vehicle was a behemoth. Forcing it through would be sheer suicide. I glanced at the bridge full of civilian cars and then suddenly chuckled. Mechanical Heart, equip 2 vehicle-mounted RPGs. Mechanical Heart, loading, countdown 59 seconds. A minute later, 2 Grade 1 vehicle-mounted RPGs were installed on either side of the main cannon. The metal inventory was nearly depleted. Make 1 medium-sized RPG missile. The rest will be small missiles. Mechanical Heart, manufacturing missiles. One by one, the missiles were added to the ammunition stockpile. In the middle of the bridge, a snack wholesale truck housed a small group of survivors, huddling together. The truck was loaded with drinks and food, staving off their hunger temporarily, but their spirits were on the brink of collapse. When is rescue coming? A crew-cut young man's eyes were dull and lifeless. There's no way the authorities would ignore something this big. What if everything's down? In movies, even the military gets wiped out. Maybe we should just end it now, better than getting bitten. A burly, tattooed man guarding the door suddenly perked up. Something's coming. Instantly, energy sparked among the group. It's a large camper. If we get it, we can escape. Steel pipes were grabbed as the despair on their faces morphed into greed. When the apocalypse first broke out, accidents on the bridge created chain collisions. Very few vehicles were left operational, and those that were tended to be surrounded by zombies. This group of deadbeats didn't dare face off with zombies, but were experts at bullying other survivors. And now, a vehicle was coming straight to them, a jackpot served on a silver platter. Grab the steel pipes. The bald leader grinned maliciously. We'll trick them into stopping. Kill the men, take the women. The rest nodded, crouching to ambush behind the cargo truck. Beep. Mechanical Heart. Ammunition manufacturing complete. The ammunition stockpile now contained 1 medium-sized RPG missile, 2 rows of small missiles, and piles of machine gun and pistol bullets. Let's go. I floored the gas pedal, and the battle vehicle roared toward the bridge. Next to me, in the co-driver's seat, Meng Xiaoyao squinted at the chaotic scene on the bridge. Are we just going to plow through it? The bridge was crammed full of lightweight civilian cars. The camper could crush through some, but with the interlocked collisions ahead, the road was completely blocked. Forcing through wasn't an option. I've got a plan. I smirked faintly, tapping on the screen. 2 control panels rose up inside the vehicle, one for targeting, the other for firing. What is this? Meng Xiaoyao's eyes widened, stunned. The camper's equipped with weapons? RPG launchers. How do I not know about this? She grew more and more suspicious. She had been overseeing the vehicle's operations, noticing even when a tire was replaced. How had something like this slipped under her radar? Remembering the twin Gatling guns mounted earlier, she stared at me skeptically. Who exactly are you? How did you get your hands on all this weaponry in just a few days? Just an ordinary guy? I chuckled. Yeah, right. Meng Xiaoyao rolled her eyes. An ordinary guy would find it hard enough to get a gun, let alone Gatling guns and RPGs. The camper approached the cargo truck where the bald leader's gang lay in wait. Be ready. The bald leader whispered sharply. His crew nodded, determination gleaming in their eyes. The very next second, the bald leader ran out first, hands empty, shouting at the top of his lungs, "Help! Brother, take me with you." Seeing him, I smirked coldly and stopped the vehicle, picking up a handgun. As soon as the vehicle stopped, the bald leader's face lit up with glee, and he discreetly gestured to his group. The moment I opened the car door, the group came charging out, howling, their steel pipes held high. faces twisted in ferocity. The bald leader's sinister grin suddenly froze, his eyes locking onto the barrel of the gun I was pointing at him. His entire body stiffened on the spot. Standing tall with the gun in hand, I idly glanced at him. "Go on, keep talking." Behind him, the other gang members screeched to a halt, their faces going pale. "Boss, you've got it wrong." The bald leader's face turned beet red as he forced a smile. "We just wanted to know if you'd like to watch a pole dancing performance? Free of charge." Yeah, we're pole dancers." The others chimed in hastily. "No harm intended, boss. Accidents happen when guns go off." Inside the camper, Meng Xiaoyao and Yun Yi couldn't help but burst into laughter. This group of scoundrels had turned spineless in mere seconds. "I ask you answer." My voice turned cold as I began questioning them about the situation on Jinjiang Bridge. There was no hesitation. They spilled everything they knew without holding back. "Get out." Half an hour later, I nodded. "All right, it's over." "Then, big brother, we'll take our leave." The bald guy bowed, forcing a grin. I smirked back. "No, what I meant was, you're free to hit the road now." Bang. In the apocalypse, human hearts are far darker than the zombies. I've witnessed too many betrayals in dreams, lovers selling each other out, fathers trading their daughters, brothers stabbing one another in the back. Scum like these, who were already rotten before the end of days, aren't worth sparing. I don't waste words. After questioning, I pulled the trigger. As the shot echoed, half of the bald guy's head was blown off, leaving him no time to utter a sound. LLL Lord. The remaining group froze, their legs buckling beneath them. "Big bro, spare me. I'll serve you like a slave." One man cried, groveling. "I'm useful. I can do anything you need." Another stammered, panic-stricken as he backed away. Then there was one who, gritting his teeth, muttered with defiance, "Screw it. Let's take him down. We outnumber him." One pissed themselves out of fear, another dropped to their knees begging, and still others either fled or lunged at me in desperation. My expression didn't change. I squeezed the trigger repeatedly, taking each out with a headshot. In under a minute, the group that had just charged at me were all reduced to corpses. I didn't even bother looking their way, calmly turning back to the RV and getting in to continue my journey. "You okay, Brother Xing?" Yun Yi leaned over, starting to massage my shoulders. Meng Xiaoyao sat silently, biting her lip. It was obvious she still hadn't adjusted to my ruthlessness. "I'm fine," I chuckled indifferently. "Just squashed a few pests." In those dreams, I'd saved more people than I could count. Some were grateful, others turned on me the moment their backs were covered, and a handful repaid me with betrayal. Seen enough, none of it surprised me anymore. The Jinjiang Bridge is over 400 meters long. The middle and final sections are clogged with a chain reaction car pileup. After piecing together the information I had just extracted, I issued a straightforward order: full speed ahead. The RV's engine roared as it hurtled onto the bridge. Scrap metal scattered everywhere. Smaller cars were directly crushed under our wheels, while mid-sized trucks were pushed aside. We plowed ahead like an unstoppable tiger. The commotion drew hordes of zombies, drawn like moths to a flame, growing into an overwhelming black mass in pursuit behind us. Before long, the path ahead came to an abrupt halt. Reaching the middle section, the wreckage was tightly packed, vehicles stacked atop one another. Blood and bodies littered the road, turning it into a grim graveyard. "Middle section ahead," I noted aloud. Flipping on a monitor, the dual RPG launchers mounted on the RV's roof adjusted position to aim at the obstruction. At 30 meters distance, I pressed a button. Fire. 2 rockets streaked forward, detonating on impact and creating fiery explosions that scattered cars and incinerated wandering zombies ensnared in the wreckage. The RV barreled through the inferno, flames licking its metal plating as shards of debris clinked off the armor. But in the next split second, it emerged unscathed from the blaze, ramming through shattered cars and continuing the charge forward. The bridge glowed fiery orange in the wake of destruction. The RV, now a war tank reborn from the flames, rammed through over a dozen sedans in its path, an unstoppable force. Behind, the zombie horde howled and swelled, converging like a tidal wave set to crush everything in its wake. My expression darkened further. From the middle onwards, car wrecks piled one after another like iron fortresses barricading the route. Not even a tank could pass without blasting them open first. Fire again. Keep firing. Thunderous blasts cleared a path as debris scattered left and right. Anything in our way was reduced to scrap under the barrage. With firepower paving the way, the RV's damage levels remained at a mere 5%. It could still handle this much. Finally, we reached the last section, the Nightmare Zone. Here, even the bridge itself bore signs of cracking. Hundreds of vehicles lay tangled together, crimson streaks painting the wreckage. Zombies, stirred by the noise, clawed out from between mangled cars, lunging toward the RV. I didn't hesitate, unleashing another round of firepower against the piled cars. Rockets blasted one after another, flinging vehicles sky-high. Zombies caught in the blast were obliterated into ribbons of gore. Amidst the carnage, with a grim smack, a severed arm slapped against the windshield, jolting Yunyi in shock. "You're seriously messed up. This kind of scene doesn't even faze you," Meng Xiaoyao muttered under her breath with disdain. To which, my grin only grew more smug. "And not only does it not faze me, I'm about to play some music." Meng Xiaoyao froze. "You're not putting on that song, are you?" "Not Little Apple again." Before the words were fully out of her mouth, the speakers erupted. The upbeat melody blasted into the air, drawing every zombie nearby even closer. The RV roared off the Jinjiang Bridge with a thunderous drift, twisting into position and blocking the exit behind us. Harvest time. I stood up, reaching over to activate the Gatling guns. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat. Bullets rained down, cutting through the crowd of undead like a scythe through wheat, painting the area red with misted blood. The louder the song, the denser the swarm. Zombies poured forth, numbering into thousands, a ceaseless tide of chaos. Without waiting for my instruction, Meng Xiaoyao seized control of the second Gatling, joining the fray with relentless firepower. At the height of the storm, a mechanical voice interrupted with an alert. "Warning! RV damage surged 3% instantly. Possible presence of a second-tier creature." My eyes narrowed just as I caught sight of it. Amidst the seething horde, a pitch-black abomination, claws half a meter long, darted through the chaos. It was the one. That swipe earlier? It was its handiwork, tearing steel plating and leaving a gaping dent. A couple more hits like that, and not even this fortress on wheels would hold. "A second-tier zombie," I said coolly, squinting at it. Turning back, I called out over my shoulder, "Come over here and learn how to man the Gatling." Yunyi froze, wide-eyed. "And me?" Still, she reluctantly shuffled over to sit behind the turret. Tossing a brief, "Xiaoyao, show her how it's done," I slipped back to the driver's seat. Turning to the onboard RPG system, I locked directly onto the black-clawed monstrosity. The mutated zombie moved with alarming speed, weaving erratically within the horde. Each leap covered several meters, and every few seconds, it lashed out at the RV once more. The dents stretched deeper, worse, damage levels skyrocketing to 13% within seconds. 20 seconds, 18%. 30 seconds, 24%. At this rate, the car will be done for in under half an hour. I locked my eyes on the drop zone, timing my movements with precision. This is it. I pressed the launch button. The missile roared as it launched, heading straight for the airborne black claw zombie that had leapt towards the car. No way it could change direction midair. A deafening explosion followed. Fire erupted, disintegrating the zombie on the spot. Fleshy remains and shards of its limbs scattered everywhere, taking a few nearby zombies out in the process. Through the blood mist, a glimmer shot out. A core. My eyes lit up. Thankfully, I'd used a small RPG, or the energy core might have been obliterated. I glanced over at the bridge entrance. The bodies had piled up, with barely 100 zombies left stuck and out of range of the girl's firepower. "Stop!" Meng Xiaoyao and Yun Yi ceased fire immediately. The next moment, I reversed and maneuvered the vehicle directly over them, crushing as I went. The zombies growled, but their cries were short-lived as clear squelches and crunches echoed. Mangled remains turned to pulp beneath the car wheels. Soon, only a few crippled zombies were left writhing and howling on the ground. Coldly, I gave the order, "Get to work." I blinked and handed Yunyi a knife and a bag. "Get to work." Yunyi looked completely baffled. Meng Xiaoyao chuckled as she tugged Yunyi along. "Help this freak dig out zombie brain cores." "Dig in their heads?" "Ugh, gross." Yun-yi shivered. Outside, the blood rain drenched everything like a scene from hell, and now she had to sift through zombie corpses drenched in it. Don't ask questions. He's got his reasons. Meng Xiaoyao lowered her voice. Even she didn't fully understand why I did what I did every time, but she knew one thing. Talk less, do more, and you had better chances of survival. Yun-yi bit her lip and nodded, begrudgingly stepping out of the car with her. I started by finishing off the few remaining zombies with my handgun, then scoured the area for a level 2 energy core. Not long after, I spotted a piece of black crystal amidst a pool of blood. Wasting no time, I grabbed it. About the size of half a fist, this one's got serious juice, I muttered, eyes practically gleaming. I turned and headed for the RV, tossing the core into the energy converter. Mechanical heart. 250 points of level 2 energy obtained. I raised an eyebrow. This should be close. Once I find a metal warehouse, I can finally craft a level 2 evolution serum. I joined the others in scavenging for cores. After 2 exhausting hours, the 3 of us had combed through the area near the bridge. The bag was packed, swollen with at least 1,000 level 1 cores. That's it for now. Back to the RV to wash up and rest, I ordered. I looked up at the sky. The blood moon was shrinking, and the relentless blood rain seemed to be coming to an end. Yun-yi was pale from exhaustion, but still managed to ask, "Aren't we continuing? There's probably more inside the corpse piles." She didn't want her newly gained usefulness to falter and end up sitting on the sidelines again. No need. I shook my head. We've already taken the low-hanging fruit. What's left would require too much time and effort. Not worth it. And then, almost as a joke, I added, "I'm no slave driver, and you're not my laborers." Meng Xiaoyao couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Damn it, Xing Tian. After all this work, you still find ways to pick on me." "Not bad," I replied dryly. "I'll fight you." "Hey, don't fall." Yun-yi quickly intervened. Through the lightning rain, the 3 of us bickered and made our way back to the RV. Luckily, the RV was equipped with a rainwater collection system and a purifier. Water wasn't an issue. I told them to take their time showering. No need to conserve. Once they were done, I grabbed some bread and moved to the driver's seat, dumping all 3 bulging bags of energy cores into the converter. Mechanical heart. A total of 1605 points of level 1 energy obtained. Wait, this much? Even I was stunned. We'd taken down at least 2,000 zombies in that bridge skirmish. Between the Gatling gun and RPG, I assumed many cores had been destroyed, estimating maybe 1,000 points tops. But 1,605? This exceeded expectations. That was more than enough to give the battle vehicle a major upgrade, assuming I could locate a metal warehouse first. Bring up the map. Let's move. Leaning back in the chair, I let the mechanical heart take over driving. Crossing the bridge had looked simple, but it drained me, physically and mentally. Right now, all I wanted was to catch some sleep. Meanwhile, Meng Xiaoyao and Yun-yi were sound asleep, sprawled out on the big bed in the back. The route to the metal warehouse was desolate and remote. Not many cars or people, and only occasional zombies along the roadside. The battle vehicle plowed through abandoned cars like they were nothing, brute force settling every problem in its path. I managed to grab a short nap until the mechanical heart's cold voice jolted me awake. "Master, we've arrived at the destination." I snapped to attention and looked out. The blood rain had stopped. The sky wasn't pitch black anymore, but neither was it fully light. The blood moon and the sun hung in tandem, their clashing hues unsettling, as if something ominous was brewing. To the left of the vehicle was a massive parking lot and warehouse. Zombies wandered aimlessly inside among heaps of abandoned trucks and cranes. This warehouse dwarfed the others I'd seen. It had to be at least dozens of times larger, with both internal and external sections. If the whole thing was packed with metal, we were looking at a stockpile of at least 100 tons. My eyes burned with excitement. I'd come all this way for exactly this. Chassis upgrades, engine improvements, tires, storage space, steel-reinforced armor. It could all be leveled up here. For the last 2 days, I hadn't dared stop, even when Meng Xiaoyao teased me to distraction. There was only one reason. Time waits for no one. I glanced back at Meng Xiaoyao. She was sprawled out on the bed, sleeping like a log, her figure distractingly alluring. Heat rose within me, but I forced it down, focusing on the task at hand. I drove the vehicle straight into the parking lot, shoving aside wrecked vehicles in my path, stopping right in front of the warehouse doors. The doors were semi-automatic and tightly shut. Noticing the indicator light by the door was still on meant the power wasn't out. There might even be people inside. Inside the warehouse, a group of people was glued to a monitor, watching the RV outside. Someone gasped, marveling that it must be a billionaire's ride. Others murmured about how intimidating it looked. A few started to panic, whispering, "Could the military show up? Does the country even care about people like us anymore?" Suddenly, a young man screamed, "Look at the roof!" Everyone watched in horror as a turret emerged. The next second, with a deafening boom, a missile streaked through the air, slamming into the metal gate. The gate was obliterated, shards flying everywhere. In the surveillance room, the air turned deathly quiet. Is that a freaking RPG? An RV? With rocket launchers? What kind of maniac is this? Most turned pale. They had been warehouse workers and truck drivers before the apocalypse hit. Now they were hiding here, surviving by the skin of their teeth. Zombies hadn't gotten through, but instead, someone like this just blew their way in. A heavy-set, middle-aged man nervously whispered, "Should we try stopping him?" He was immediately silenced with a scolding. "If he spares you in the apocalypse, consider it your lucky day. You want to go over and get yourself killed?" The man hung his head in submission, but there was a glimmer of something in his eyes. Outside, I stepped out of my RV and called toward the camera, "Anyone in there?" I knocked. "If you don't answer, I'm coming in." The people inside the surveillance room nearly choked with rage. Asterisk, you call that knocking? Asterisk. When no one responded, I chuckled, then drove the RV straight into the warehouse. The warehouse was massive. Metal was stacked in neat rows, and a few zombie corpses lay scattered on the floor. A couple of pushcarts were parked nearby. Not bad, I muttered, scanning the area, my eyes lighting up. This much metal was nearly limitless fuel for my plans. I hopped out of the RV with my handgun, double-checking that all the zombies inside were truly dead. That also meant the survivors here were likely still alive. I didn't care to meet them. I had no interest in playing the savior. Perfect location. I grabbed a cart and started loading metal piece by piece into my dimensional storage space. Inside the surveillance room, chaos erupted. What's he loading up that metal for? Where is he even taking all that? Is he with the government? One comment hit a nerve, and realization dawned on the others. Maybe he was with the base. In an apocalypse, anyone brave enough to be gathering supplies like this might just be military personnel. That's an RV. What if we ask him to take us with him? Someone suggested. The group almost agreed when a groggy young man strolled in, yawning. What's all this noise about? Immediately, everyone shifted attitudes, nodding and bowing. This was Lu Tai, the son of the CEO of Iron Skull Corp. Having heard the situation, Lu Tai broke into a grin. Finally, the military has sent someone. They've got a lot of explaining to do for showing up so late. I'm filing a complaint. All right, let's head down there. He waved a hand, leading the others toward the warehouse floor. As for me, I just finished loading one batch of metal and had opened up my vehicle's upgrade interface. Body upgrade available, super alloy frame. Resistant to bullets and most conventional weaponry. Can sustain impact up to 5 tons. The requirements? 10 tons of metal and 100 units of level 1 energy. Energy? No problem. Enough to spare. But the metal requirement was nuts. Luckily, this warehouse was brimming with the stuff. I kept hauling load after load to meet the quota. Upgrade, I commanded. Mechanika's heart confirmed the upgrade in progress, giving a countdown. 6 hours to completion. But I didn't stop there. I continued shuttling metal. Before long, a crowd appeared at the edge of my vision. Finally, the survivors decided to show up. I noted, barely sparing them a glance. I went right back to my work. I don't go out of my way to harm people. But saving them? That's not my priority either. In an apocalypse, all I care about is growing stronger. Lu Tai and his crew stopped at a distance, seemingly waiting for me to approach. But after standing there awkwardly for a long time, watching me completely ignore them, Lu Tai's face darkened. Before the apocalypse, he would have lost his temper already. But he'd heard rumors. The RV had weapons, missiles. Should he piss me off, one rocket would be enough to obliterate his entire group. Swallowing his pride, Lu Tai shouted back, "Xiao Wu, go talk to him." Xiao Wu's face turned ghostly pale, but with some hesitation, he forced himself to step forward. Lu Tai had been going on about government shelters and how his father held sway there. If any of that were true, following Lu Tai stood to pay off big. Lu Tai, don't worry, Xiao Wu said, forcing a nervous grin and making his way over to me. Hey there, buddy. Mind stopping the car for a minute? Say what you want. I'm busy. I sat on the cart, not even bothering to stand. Our Lu Tai over there. He'd like to have a chat with you. Please, could you give us a moment? Xiao Wu's smile was awkwardly overeager. You sound like a servant begging for scraps. I sneered, hopping off and striding toward them. Lu Tai was dressed in what must once have been a crisp suit, now slightly rumpled, and greeted me with a practiced smile. Speak. I don't have all day, I said coolly. Narrowing his eyes, Lu Tai tested the waters. You're from a shelter, aren't you? My brow furrowed. My hackles rose. This guy knew about the shelters? That's none of your damn business. Lu Tai smiled, unbothered. My father's got connections in the shelters. If you take us there, I'll make sure you're well rewarded. Money, status, access to the inner city, you'll have it all. I couldn't help but let my voice turn icy. If you're tied to the shelters, why the hell are you stuck out here? Lu Tai's smile froze before he forced out an awkward laugh. Well, the apocalypse. Earlier, he admitted with a sheepish grin, I popped some pills and drove in like a maniac. But now, I can't find my way out. I listened silently to his rambling before uttering just 2 words. Not happening. The room fell eerily quiet in stunned disbelief. Lu Tai clenched his fist, barely holding back his anger. Take me back, and you'll get a hefty sum. Why refuse? In response, I pulled out my gun, pointing it squarely at him. Because of this, I said coldly. His face turned ghostly pale as the weight of the moment hit him. Forcing a dry laugh, he muttered, sorry. Even in his arrogance, he wasn't dumb enough to push further. He could tell I wasn't bluffing. Defeated, he and his group sulked back toward the corridor. Scarface, one of his crew, leaned close and murmured, Young Master Lu, why don't we ambush him, take him out, and steal the car? You're an idiot, Lu Tai hissed, his anger barely contained. There are others in that car. If you've got a death wish, don't drag me into it. Still grinding his teeth, he muttered, looks like we'll have to rely on him to get a message to my father. He can send the troops to get me out of here. As the group begrudgingly agreed, a cheerful middle-aged man burst into the room, beaming. Master Lu, I found a truck that's still working. Really? Lu Tai's eyes lit up, glimmering with hope. Since that guy cleared out the zombies outside, there must be more vehicles that are usable. Without wasting a second, the group rushed out of the warehouse, disappearing into a secluded area. Where's the truck? Lu Tai questioned, his frustration bubbling. Before he could get an answer, the atmosphere shifted. A sudden chill washed over his back as a hulking, shadowy figure rose silently behind them. Meanwhile, back in the warehouse, Meng Xiaoyao and Yunyi had woken up. Seeing me busy outside, they slid out of the vehicle quietly to help. Using 3 carts, we started transporting supplies back and forth. As I worked, I discreetly pulled up the vehicle's upgrade interface and quickly scanned the menu. Tires. Upgradable to super rubber tires, significantly enhancing resistance, defense, and stability in harsh environments. Requires 1 ton of metal, 100 units of level 1 energy. Internal space. Upgradable to dimensional space, expanding the interior while reducing the vehicle's weight. Requires 10 tons of metal, 1,000 units of level 1 energy. Power system. Affected by the vehicle's weight and energy capacity, upgradable to a superpower system. Requires 1 ton of metal, 100 units of level 1 energy. I focused intently on the 3 critical components. These had to be upgraded immediately. Upgrade. Upgrade them all, I commanded. Thankfully, we were in a metal storage facility, and I currently held over 1,000 units of level 1 energy. Resources were abundant. Zombies pretty much littered the area like a buffet. The vehicle began upgrading across the board. I spared no expense, maxing out every component to its peak potential. Mechanical core, dimensional space upgrade countdown. 6 hours, 30 minutes, 59 seconds to upgrade the tires. Upgrade the power system. The cold, mechanical notifications kept coming as vital parts of the vehicle underwent intense modifications. Finally, I let out a breath of relief. Once complete, this vehicle would surpass anything modern industry could dream of producing. Only then would it provide a real shot at survival in this apocalyptic nightmare. It was only day 2 of the end of the world, and level 2 monsters were already making their presence known. By tomorrow, level 3 monstrosities would emerge. That would be pure chaos. In a dream once, I'd barely survived the first 2 days using the mechanical core. But on the 3rd day, a level 3 monster killed me brutally. Not this time. I wouldn't let history, or a nightmare, repeat itself. Got around a few hundred units of level 1 energy left? I murmured, checking the inventory. With that, I grabbed my pistol and combat blade, heading for the warehouse doors. I needed to clear the surrounding area before the vehicle upgrades could leave us cornered. Outside lay a sprawling parking lot, intersected by webbed roads. It was a sea of zombies, a relentless tidal wave of decay and hunger. The ones I'd killed earlier barely made a dent. A quick estimate put the undead count at over 1,000. All just low-tier fodder, I muttered. Taking a deep breath, I steeled my nerves, observing patiently before striking. Gunfire echoed as zombie after zombie dropped to the ground. When my ammo ran out, I switched to the blade. Swing, sidestep, counter, a relentless cycle of death and blood surrounded me. This parking lot had become a slaughterhouse, making the 2 girls hiding in the warehouse shiver with unease. After battling until my arms throbbed with exhaustion, I stumbled back toward the building, clutching my abdomen. I climbed aboard my vehicle, popped the lid off a cup of instant noodles, and cracked open a bottle of soda. Casually tossing some crystalline zombie cores into the energy converter, I leaned back. Mechanical core, acquired 204 units of level 1 energy. Not bad, I smirked. The aroma of noodles wafted through the air as I lazily slurped, cold determination still etched in my gaze. Sure, I could have used the vehicle's weapon systems to turn the swarm into mincemeat, but that would have burned through energy and resources much faster than I was ready to pay. Inside, Meng Xiaoyao caught a whiff of the meal and frowned. He's eating instant noodles? We're over here working our butts off, and he's enjoying himself just fine. On the other hand, Yunyi looked more concerned than annoyed. Brother Xing Tian must be exhausted. I'll whip something up for him, she whispered. You stay put. Meng Xiaoyao hissed. Why not? He's clearly got it covered. No need for you to play hero. But Yunyi stole a peek in my direction, watching me eat and drink unapologetically. A complicated mix of emotions flickered in her eyes as I devoured each bite unbothered, indulging freely. After eating to my heart's content, I washed my face and lay down. My body was resting, but my mind was racing at high speed. Most of the plans had already been executed. As long as the battle vehicle upgrades were completed, the road ahead would be a smooth ride, crushing obstacles along the way. Food and water could be sustained through the plant cultivation chamber, greenhouse farming, and water condensers. As for combat, I'd rely on the vehicle-mounted weapons, gene serums, and the weapons crafting station to push forward relentlessly. In addition, I still had one final ace up my sleeve, and that is the iron shell. With a cold glint in my eye, I suppressed the killing intent that flickered momentarily within. I'd gone over the battle vehicle's interface. The mech-related components required energy of level 3 or higher to install. But curiously enough, the mech manufacturing module only required level 2 energy to produce. Here's the problem. Level 2 energy can only build exoskeleton armor, far from creating something on par with an Iron Man suit or even a proper mech. Unless I could keep upgrading, breaking into levels 3, 4, or even 5. I stared at the energy balance intensely. I only have 290 units of level 2 energy left. Where should I invest it? After hesitating only briefly, I gritted my teeth and made my decision. Building the mech manufacturing module would hold out for a bit, but it'd drain my energy reserve completely. Instead, I'd rather upgrade the serum workbench and aim straight for a level 2 gene evolution serum. Serum workbench, upgrade available. Requirements: 1,000 pounds of metal and 100 units of level 2 energy. I immediately gave the order. Upgrade the serum workbench. Heart of machinery, upgrading process commenced. Countdown, 5 minutes, 30 seconds. Minutes later, the workbench gleamed anew. The sleek silver tabletop, complete with an array of futuristic equipment, exuded a sense of sci-fi sophistication. I accessed the interface without delay and allocated 50 units of level 2 energy. The workbench immediately entered research mode. Heart of machinery, commencing research on level 2 evolution serum. Countdown, 12 hours, 30 minutes, 59 seconds. My expression darkened. Researching the level 1 serum had already taken over 8 hours. Now, it'd be taking half a day just to finish level 2. Looks like I won't see results until tomorrow. Checking my energy balance again, my heart ached. Only 140 units of level 2 energy remained. Not nearly enough. With some downtime on my hands, my thoughts drifted to the external configurations of the battle vehicle. In this post-apocalyptic world, the threats weren't just zombies. There were also mutated beasts and insectoids. Beneath the crimson blood moon and dual suns hovering ominously together in the sky, it's clear that these enemies weren't the only danger. The unknown loomed, chilling and vast. But first, I needed to deal with these immediate challenges. Should I add a ram or battering spike up front? Yet, pondering further, I dismissed the idea. After all, the upgraded vehicle frame could withstand a direct hit from mid-sized RPGs. Even when facing mutated beasts, it could endure front-on collisions. A battering spike might look good, but it offered little functional utility. Out of nowhere, the image of those remaining survivors crossed my mind. My gaze turned cold. That rowdy and noisy bunch from earlier, why had things fallen utterly quiet now? Forget it. None of my business anyway. Choosing not to concern myself, I continued focusing on my work. Deep into the night, the warehouse was shrouded in utter darkness. Pitch black, so much so that you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. In the cozy corner of the common area, Meng Xiaoyao and Yun Yi devoured their meals like ravenous wolves. Their fare? Still instant noodles. Clearly, the two were starving. After clearing their bowls, they collapsed into the sofa, panting heavily. Yun Yi curled her body like a cat, the curves beneath her blouse accentuated under the dim light. Suddenly, she opened her eyes and murmured softly, "Big brother Xing Tian, from now on, let me cook for you, okay?" Meng Xiaoyao lazily chimed in. "Yeah, he knows how to cook. We can't keep surviving on instant noodles every day." My gaze flicked toward the pair, my smile meaningful and teasing. "Of course, I'd love that, my personal chef." Little E. Yun Yi's cheeks turned scarlet as she softly rebuked, "Big brother Xing Tian." Meng Xiaoyao saw the exchange, bitterness rising in her chest. Under her breath, she muttered, "Another innocent lamb to the slaughter." Suddenly, a fresh thought seemed to strike her. Wiping the gloom off her face, she raised a serious question. "We've been scavenging metals like crazy, right? So why don't you dismantle the abandoned vehicles lying along the way? They're full of metal, aren't they?" I paused briefly, then calmly shook my head. "It's time. Stripping each vehicle down and transporting the materials back, it's all a colossal waste of time and energy. You'll hardly extract enough usable material for the effort, and in the end, you're just burning through your stamina. But here in the warehouse, it's different. There's a massive stockpile of ready-to-use metal ingots, along with heavy-duty lifting gear. Saving that extra time? That's life." Yun Yi nodded vaguely, not entirely comprehending, but agreeing nonetheless. "Yeah, that makes sense, I think." Meng Xiaoyao, on the other hand, didn't seem reassured. Her expression grew somber, and after hesitating briefly, she pressed on, gritting her teeth. "Why? Why are you in such a rush? With what we've got now, can't we survive just about anywhere?" Her voice carried an edge of genuine confusion. Her words prompted something strange within me. For a long moment, I said nothing. The living room grew eerily quiet. Finally, Meng Xiaoyao began to feel a pang of unease, worried she might have touched a raw nerve. But then I simply sighed. Because this is the apocalypse. No one knows what might happen tomorrow. What I couldn't tell her was the real reason. I had already died once before, torn limb from limb in my dream, mangled by a savage, unrelenting beast. From that nightmare forward, I've been terrified, haunted by the idea of it becoming real. So now, I had no choice but to claw back every second of time I could. Night had fallen, and Yun Yi was already fast asleep. Meng Xiaoyao stepped out of the bathroom after her shower. The moment her eyes landed on me sitting against the wall, a blush quickly crept up her cheeks. Just a while ago, I had urged Yuni to rest. That overly obedient girl actually went straight to sleep without a second thought. But Meng Xiaoyao could tell that my so-called good intentions were anything but pure. Sure enough, my heated gaze unapologetically roamed across her figure. I'm going to bed too, she stammered. Her breathing became uneven as she hurriedly slipped under the covers. I chuckled softly before turning and heading into the bathroom. The night air was bitterly cold. In the middle of the night, Yun Yi stirred awake. Groggily opening her eyes, she was immediately greeted by a scene she was definitely not supposed to see. Shocked, she shut her eyes tightly again. But after a moment, unable to resist her curiosity, she peeked through a sliver of an opening. Morning, day 3 of the blood moon. A howling wind battered the earth as blood-red raindrops pelted down from the sky. It felt as though the blood moon was weeping, staining the entire world in a crimson hue. I gradually awoke and murmured to myself, the apocalypse doesn't seem as bad as I imagined. Beside me lay a pure, innocent girl. My heart stirred briefly, but I promptly got up to wash and grab a quick bite to eat. Then I headed toward the alchemical workstation. A notification was pinned on the screen. Research on C, Level 2 Gene Evolution Serum is complete. Ingredients required: 100 pounds of metal, 100 units of Level 2 energy. My stash of Level 2 energy was down to 140 points, but I hit confirm without hesitation. The newly obtained energy drained instantly, leaving me with just 40 points, barely enough to craft anything beyond a medium RPG missile. Mechanical heart, manufacturing in progress. Countdown, 3 hours 30 minutes 59 seconds. With the serum set to complete in 3.5 hours, I finally exhaled in relief and began inspecting the state of my war vehicle. The vehicle's interior had been upgraded to dimensional war car space, expanding its capacity 5-fold beyond its original size. But inside, it was still eerily empty, more like a massive hollow shell. Its exterior was now coated in super alloy armor, capable of withstanding firepower and impervious to even medium RPG missiles. The tires were super rubber tires, which looked deceptively metallic. Fireproof, acid-resistant, and remarkably durable, they were built for unimaginable endurance. Meanwhile, the power system had been upgraded to a superpower system, offering greater speed and force. An added overload boost mode enabled bursts of extreme acceleration at the expense of reducing the system's lifespan. Mechanical heart. The owner can further modify and expand internal space using metal and energy. Current capacity allows the replication of already owned furniture. I paused, frowning. I get why ammo would require metal, but why do I need metal to make serums and furniture? Mechanical heart. Energy plays the leading role, but metal serves as the foundational resource. Over 2 hours later, Meng Xiaoyao and Yun Yi stirred awake. The moment they sat up, they froze in shock. The space around them had grown so large it was almost unrecognizable. An entire set of furniture had also appeared out of nowhere. Are we still inside the war vehicle? Meng Xiaoyao muttered to herself. Good morning, Brother Xing Tian. Yun Yi greeted cheerfully with her signature sweet smile, obediently getting up to wash up. But after circling the room in confusion, she finally asked, Where's the bathroom? It's behind that door, I said, gesturing toward the back. Oh. Yun Yi tilted her head in bewilderment before heading off in that direction. In just one night, the bathroom's location had shifted. 2 new rooms had been added. The living room expanded, and even a dining room, kitchen, and cold storage room now existed. This was no longer just a war vehicle. It was a fully fledged mobile base. Brother Xing Tian is amazing. Yun Yi beamed with growing admiration. What she didn't realize was that I merely moved a finger. This was all thanks to my cheat system. Walking over to the bedside, I asked in a low voice, How are you feeling? Midday, day 3 of the blood moon. The blood rain arrived right on schedule. Although the downpour was thin, it was piercingly cold. Standing at the warehouse entrance, I peered into the distant darkness. Shadows resembling massive figures seemed to rise and roar in the distance. Could there be level 2 monsters nearby? Our plans were nearly in place, but I figured it was time to head out with my blade to deal with some zombies. The level 1 zombies had grown quicker and fiercer, but still, they were no match for my gun. Each one went down in a single shot. Blood and rainwater mixed as the crimson liquid splattered across the ground, painting a macabre scene. Before long, I returned to the warehouse with dozens of crystal nuclei in hand. Circling the warehouse, I searched for any trace of powerful presences. As expected, none appeared. Neither level 2 nor level 3 monsters were in sight. While safety was certainly reassuring, it also meant the upgrades for my war vehicle were temporarily stuck. The mechanical heart once said that my vehicle could evolve endlessly, and level 1 was just the beginning. Metal might be a secondary concern for upgrades, but energy was the real bottleneck. It's probably best to stay here a little longer. I'll fully expand the storage space before we move out. Settling in by the alchemical workstation, I waited for the serum to complete. Suddenly, there was an explosive boom. Shook violently. At the warehouse entrance, a hunched shadow over 10 feet tall loomed ominously. It was a gray-skinned giant, its blood-red eyes glaring with an expression so twisted it looked like a demon crawling straight up from hell. I just scouted this place. How the hell did I miss that? The giant didn't give me a second to process. Roaring, it charged forward, slamming its massive hand down to crush a machine cart into nothing but shards and splinters. Its movements were slow, admittedly, but the sheer amount of power it wielded was terrifying. Its skin, thick and seemingly impenetrable. Meng Xiaoyao and Yun Yi turned ghostly pale. Zombies, at least, they could wrap their heads around. But a 10-foot-tall monster like this? It obliterated every bit of logic they clung to. I, on the other hand, stayed unnervingly calm. I immediately accessed the weapons panel, selecting the one thing I thought might work, a single medium-sized RPG. The turret on the vehicle's roof raised ever so slowly, locking onto the target. A flash of fire lit up the warehouse as the missile launched, striking the giant square in the chest. Boom. The explosion ricocheted inside the warehouse like a violent clap of thunder. Dust and debris shot out in all directions, temporarily blinding us. Meng Xiaoyao and Yun Yi's ears buzzed from the sheer volume as thick clouds of smoke cloaked everything around us. When the smoke finally cleared, all that remained was a massive crater. The giant's upper body? Gone, completely decimated. Just a standard Tier 2 monster. I hopped down from the vehicle to inspect the remains. Strangely, there wasn't a crystal core anywhere to be found. Don't tell me the missile destroyed the crystal core too? A tight knot of unease formed in my chest. Something wasn't right. On the giant's severed arm was a twisting tattoo, familiar and distinct. I'd seen it before. It belonged to Lu Xiao, one of the survivors from earlier. My face fell. There shouldn't have been any evolved humans in their group. Lu Xiao? Just a regular guy? So how the hell had he turned into an out-of-control giant overnight? This wasn't natural. It wasn't an evolution. It was manipulation. A calculated transformation. A chill spilled down my spine, snaking its way up to the back of my neck. Without a word, I rushed back to the vehicle and locked every door. Buckle up. We're leaving. I kept my voice low, but it carried the urgency of the situation. The two girls nodded silently, too rattled to ask any further questions. Heart of machinery, I commanded. Convert the remaining 40 energy points into medium-sized RPG missiles. Activate the vehicle. We're pulling out now. Through the ominous crimson haze, the blood moon glared down at us. It was mid-afternoon on the third day of the apocalypse. Monsters were evolving. The world was becoming something else entirely. The warehouse felt wrong. Dangerously so. I wasn't about to waste time exploring it further. I wanted out, now star. With a roar, the silver-gray vehicle surged forward, bursting out of the warehouse in a matter of seconds. But just as I sped through the entrance, I had to slam on the brakes. The parking lot was packed with giants. Dozens of them. The closest one tilted its head back and let out an otherworldly howl, its features still vaguely recognizable as belonging to that same group of survivors from last night. Just one night. In a single night, they'd all been transformed into these monstrous creatures. Well, I muttered under my breath, my grip tightening on the controls. Someone's orchestrating this. At least a Tier 3 entity, maybe more. My gaze frosted over. If it were just one Tier 2 giant, I could handle it. Missiles, machine gun fire, melee strikes. Hell, even just running it over would have done the trick. But this? Over 20 of them. I glanced around. Not a single zombie in sight. It was as if these giants had been strategically placed here, specifically for me. If this were yesterday, I said coldly, my voice unwavering, maybe I really would have been screwed. Even a tank couldn't hold up against this kind of siege. My eyes flicked to the countdown timer. A twisted grin spread across my face. But today, I scoffed, flipping the throttle. Let's play then. With a metallic growl, the vehicle accelerated, charging into the crowd of giants like a silver beast unleashed. The first giant collided head-on, the impact obliterating its upper body and sending pieces of it flying dozens of feet away. The second was knocked over, only to be crushed beneath the vehicle's wheels with a sickening crunch, its body snapping in two. "Come on," I shouted, adrenaline spiking. I pushed the engine harder, the vehicle cutting a swath of destruction through the parking lot. Giants went flying. Abandoned cars crumpled like paper. I plowed through the chaos recklessly, scattering blood and debris in every direction. But even as the tide clearly turned in my favor, I noticed something unsettling. These creatures were regenerating. Fast. Severed limbs grew back in a matter of seconds, and their blood-red eyes wept crimson tears, an unnatural, haunting sight. 10 minutes in, I knew this battle wasn't one I could sustain forever. Spinning the wheel, I pulled a sharp drift, knocking a few of them aside before ramping straight onto the main road. The giants roared in fury, launching themselves after me with unrelenting aggression. Some even managed to cling to the vehicle's surface, pounding against the reinforced frame with inhuman strength. If this had been yesterday, the car might have fallen apart. But today, it didn't budge. At the road's edge, I caught a brief flash of lightning. Rolling thunder cracked above us as torrential rain poured down in sheets, painting the world completely red. Another burst of lightning illuminated the scene, highlighting the silver-gray vehicle and the medium-sized RPG launcher slowly rising from its roof. I looked at the 4 newly crafted missiles and pressed the launch button without hesitation. Fire. In rapid succession, 3 missiles tore through the stormy sky. Explosion after explosion ripped through the air, the ground trembling beneath the chaos. The explosion erupted with an earth-shattering roar, and blinding fire shot skyward, searing through the darkened sky. Flames illuminated everything, turning night into day. The fiery blast tore through the chill in the air, radiating heat so intense that even the torrential downpour couldn't stifle its raging wave of destruction. The giants trailing behind the armored vehicle were the first to fall victim to the relentless bombardment of cannon fire. Their hulking limbs were blown apart, bodies collapsing onto the flooded ground. Not even the famed regenerative abilities of these monstrosities could repair such damage quickly. A barrage like this left them immobilized for good. Only a few managed to close in, gripping the vehicle's exterior with inhuman force. Ignoring the annihilation of their comrades, they frantically clawed at the car, trying to bring it to its knees. One particularly persistent giant smashed its massive fists against the window with unsettling ferocity, each blow reverberating loudly, as if it was determined to tear the vehicle and everyone inside apart. Inside, Yun Yi and Meng Xiaoyao, seated near the shattered window, went pale with fright. The raw strength of these giants was terrifying. If they managed to break through the reinforced glass, the inhabitants wouldn't even have the chance to scream before being ripped to pieces. Meng Xiaoyao cast me a quick, fearful glance, then instinctively activated the side-mounted Gatling gun. The barrels rotated rapidly, unleashing a storm of bullets, tearing through the giant's flesh and leaving gory holes in its massive body. Yet, as grotesque wounds stitched themselves back together almost instantly, it became all too clear that conventional bullets couldn't overpower the robust defenses of these terrifying Tier 2 creatures. The giant roared angrily, enduring the onslaught as it clambered up, gripping the side of the vehicle tightly. With one mighty swipe of its hand, the muzzle of the Gatling gun was crumpled like paper. Meng Xiaoyao gasped in terror, immediately ceasing fire. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. Yun Yi shouted in alarm, "Bullets are useless. Use an RPG." I didn't respond right away. My eyes shifted to the weapons compartment, where one last mid-sized RPG missile sat ready. Instead of reaching for it, I pressed a different button on the control panel. The weapons crafting station hissed open, ejecting a glimmering silver double-edged battle axe. Almost simultaneously, the medicine bay activated, and a vial of glowing serum was delivered into my hand by a mechanical arm. Mechanical heart, Tier 2 genetic evolution serum complete. I twisted off the cap and downed the serum in one gulp. A flood of warmth coursed through my veins, electrifying every nerve, rewriting my very being. My pulse thundered like war drums, loud and forceful enough for the two girls to hear it clearly. The seed of life at the center of my forehead flickered to life, glowing intensely as it expanded. Black Iron Tier 2 achieved. I clenched my fists, feeling the raw power coursing through me. My lips curled into a cold, predatory smile. Yuni's voice wavered with concern. You're going out there? It's too dangerous. We should just run. But I growled low. No. Something, or someone, is waiting to collect my gift. With those words, I grabbed the hefty axe, pulled open the door, and leapt into the storm. Freezing sheets of rain drenched me instantly as my boots hit the ground. The surviving giants snarled viciously when they saw me. They abandoned the vehicle, turning their frenzied rage toward me instead. The largest of them flexed its grotesquely swollen muscles, slamming a bone-crushing punch downward, enough force to flatten a truck, straight toward my face. And yet, its massive fist stopped cold. For a stunned moment, the giant stared, bewildered. I had caught its punch in a single hand. A sinister grin spread across my face. An eye for an eye, wouldn't you say? The battle axe swept out in a deadly arc, its blade slicing through flesh and bone effortlessly. With a wet schlunk, the giant's head snapped off its shoulders, flying high into the air. One down. The coppery scent of blood filled the stormy air, agitating the others. They roared in fury, hurtling toward me in a mindless rage. I surged forward, dragging the massive axe as I closed the gap, then hurled myself upward in a powerful leap. The weapon cleaved upward, splitting the nearest giant in two. Its body fell apart like a rag doll, blood spraying like a waterfall. Two down. The ferocity inside me grew hotter, pounding alongside the rhythmic thrumming of my undying blood talent. My mastery of the axe sharpened with every swing. It felt like the killing techniques had been etched into my very bones. Strike after strike, each movement was instinctive and precise, a symphony of devastation. Every swing of the axe tore through the ranks of giants, their dismembered bodies collapsing like toppled statues. 3, 4, 5, 13. When the last monstrous form hit the ground, I finally allowed myself to breathe, exhaling deeply in relief. Good thing I leveled up to Black Iron Tier 2, I muttered. These Tier 2 giants were leagues beyond the twin-headed serpents or black claw zombies I'd fought before. Slower, yes, and less feral, but their combination of raw strength and nearly indestructible endurance made them nightmare opponents. Guns, whether pistols, rifles, or even Gatling rounds, barely scratched them. Without my enhanced abilities, talent, and forged weapon, there's no way this fight would have ended so quickly. I caught my breath and began inspecting the corpses. Soon, however, my face darkened with grim realization. Like Liu Xiao, those mutated survivors turned giants lacked crystal cores in their bodies. Whatever was controlling them from the shadows, it was still out there. And it was far worse than I feared. Brother Xing Tian, you must be exhausted. Let me help with. Well, I can give you a shoulder rub. Yuni's voice carried a mixture of admiration and concern as she eagerly approached me the moment I climbed back inside the war vehicle. I raised a hand, stopping her mid-step. Stay alert, there are still enemies nearby. Her expression froze. The carefree enthusiasm drained from her face as her hand hovered, uncertain, in the air. Guilt flickered in her eyes as she bit her lip. I said nothing else, simply starting the engine and ramming the vehicle forward. The parking lot loomed ahead, its exit drawing closer with each passing second. But just as we were about to break free, the ground churned violently. Thick, gnarled roots erupted from beneath the asphalt, writhing unnaturally as they fused into an immense barrier of tangled tree limbs, blocking our escape. So, I did manage to draw you out after all. I sneered as I turned my head around. Amidst the downpour of bloody rain, a massive dark shadow crept closer. It was a bizarre black tree, gnarled and lifeless, void of a single leaf. Dozens of its twisted branches bore distorted human faces, souls trapped within, screaming in gut-wrenching agony. Their expressions were overcome with terror and pain. The eerie wails sounded like ghosts crying. Both Meng Xiaoyao and Yun Yi shivered as chills crawled over their entire bodies. Is this some kind of ghost? Meng whispered. The souls of these people were clearly long gone, yet their desperate, agonized pleas reverberated in the air, sending shivers down to anyone's very core. No, it's an extraordinary being. My pupils contracted as a prickling surge of fear washed over me. It reminded me of the entities I'd only encountered in my dreams, like the radiant warhorse trampling through gray mists, eradicating entire swarms of insect-like aliens with ease. That power was utterly beyond human comprehension. The monstrous tree before me was also an extraordinary being, though far less terrifying than that warhorse. Otherwise, it would have already gone on a rampage. I forcibly steadied my racing heart, ignoring every instinct telling me to run far, far away. Instead, I spoke. Heart of machinery, can you analyze its information? Heart of machinery, scanning module required. Resource demand, 10 pounds of metal, 100 units of level 1 energy. Loaded immediately. I commanded without hesitation. Heart of machinery, module loaded successfully. Level 1 scanner module, capable of analyzing beings up to level 5. Can be upgraded. Requires 10 pounds of metal, 200 units of level 2 energy. Scan the monstrous tree. Heart of machinery. Scan complete. Spectre tree walker. Species, mutated human. Class, aberrant entity. Trait, soul imprisonment. Stage, black iron, level 3. Summary, before the apocalypse, he was a live streamer who captured footage of a genuine ghost on the day the world changed. Fong Dongxin, his name still lingers in the fragmented memories of humankind, was a popular outdoor content creator known for his sensationalism and shameless stunts. He would fabricate any lies to gain views and attention. During the viral rise of the homeless master, he cried tearfully in his streams, falsely claiming himself to be the master's illegitimate son. When Qingming Festival came, he even dug up his own father's remains, staging an artistic photo shoot with the skeleton for clout. In humanity's last collective memory, Fong live-streamed his exploration of a haunted house on the day of the apocalypse. The area, an abandoned district, was home to a strange shrine locals dubbed the Ghost Temple. Inside, he continued his reckless filming, begging viewers for donations. When the blood moon rose, something malevolent appeared in the dark, caught briefly on his camera before overtaking him. He was killed horrifically inside that cursed shrine. But his death was only the beginning. His immense resentment transformed him into a monstrous existence, neither man nor ghost, instead taking the form of a ghostly tree. It traveled across the apocalyptic landscape, consuming flesh and devouring souls. 3 days after the end began, it infiltrated a warehouse sheltering a group of survivors. Greedy beyond reason, it manipulated a passerby, a middle-aged man who lured everyone out for the tree to claim them all. And now, it had set its sights on me. My strong, unyielding life force and vibrant soul must have seemed like a feast, driving it completely mad. It first sent corpse puppets to capture me, only for its efforts to be destroyed by my hands. Now, it had no choice but to appear itself. The pounding rain intensified as darkness fell like a suffocating curtain, obstructing all light. The specter tree walker emerged, branches laden with wailing, tormented souls. Chilling malice emanated from it, an aura thick with doom. Meng and Yun were paralyzed under the crushing pressure of its presence. This monster was a level 3 entity, exuding an innate suppression that brought them, and even me, to feel its weight. But as a level 2 evolver, I could withstand it, albeit barely. Grimly, I absorbed the details from my system, my heart sinking. Its abilities seemed to deal in mysticism. Physical tools like bullets or tanks might very well fail to defend against such intangible horrors. I couldn't afford to hesitate. Gripping my battle axe, I launched myself off the war chariot into the storm. Thunder cracked in the heavens, raindrops spattered violently against me, and the distant wails of the trapped souls melded into an unsettling symphony. I marched forward, unfazed, until I stood before the cursed tree itself. Only then did I notice its roots, black, serpentine things twisting relentlessly into the ground. A face full of hatred stared at me from its desiccated trunk. With a roar, I swung my axe with all my might. The gleaming blade sliced cleanly through the rain, embedding itself deep into the foul creature's bark. The specter tree walker howled in pain as I began my relentless assault. Blow after blow landed, its bark splitting open with viscous, dark sap oozing out. I pressed on, step by step, gaining ground. Yet just as victory seemed within arm's reach, that scornful, hateful face twisted into a mocking grin. It swung one of its branches, consuming a soul, Little Wu. Its name came to mind, plucked from the tree like an offering. A piercing scream echoed through the rainy night. The next second, all the wounds I inflicted vanished, its injuries healed as though they'd never existed. Its hollow eyes shed trails of blood like tears. Its voice cut through the storm, cold and sinister. Another empty spot, ready for company, it sneered. A branch quivered, transforming into an incorporeal soul spear in an instant. Before I could react, the spear speared into my chest, unseen and unrestrainable. The specter tree walker laughed with vile glee as it twisted the hellish weapon deeper, urging me to succumb to the pain and hatred buried within. Its voice slithered through the air with an eerie rhythm. Join us, become one of us. Zhang's resentful face let out a hoarse, eerie sound as I lowered my head, dragging the gigantic axe, moving step by step toward the ghost tree, as though under some unseen control. The ghost tree remained calm. It had used this method to manipulate humans before. As long as its target came close enough, it could drain their flesh and blood dry and permanently trap their soul. Ga ga ga. 10 steps. 9, 7, 5, 3. I stopped directly in front of the ghost tree. Up close, the souls trapped on the tree cried even more miserably, screaming for help. Please, save me. My dad is Lu Cheng. Let me go. Get me out of here. This place was like a corner of hell, where no amount of pitiful pleading could make a difference. I stood motionless. The ghost tree let out a sinister laugh, and 2 smooth, snake-like roots extended towards me, trying to bind me. Just then, I suddenly raised my head and grinned. Surprise! The giant axe came crashing down, striking viciously at that resentful face. I'd long ago seen through its tactics. During battle, it always protected that face. That's its weak spot. With its face split open, black mist burst forth as the ghost tree shrieked, frantically absorbing souls from its branches to replenish its strength. I didn't pull back. Swinging the axe relentlessly, I aimed to finish it off while it was weakened. The ghost tree countered, whipping massive branches at me with formidable force. Despite their appearance as brittle as dead wood, the branches were solid as iron whips, pounding the ground with heavy thuds. The earth cracked open beneath me, roots erupting from the ground to ensnare me, forcing me into a predicament where escape seemed impossible. Inside the battle vehicle, Meng Xiaoyao and Yun Yi anxiously watched the fight from a distance. What do we do to help Brother Xingtian? He's in serious danger. Yun Yi's voice trembled with urgency. Meng Xiaoyao responded firmly. Do not act rashly. That creature is tied to spirits. If we join in, we might make things worse. Wait for Xingtian's orders. He must have already formed a plan before getting out of the vehicle. Yun Yi bit her lip, her hands clenched tight, and for a moment, a dark gleam flickered in her eyes. Around her, shadows seemed to grow, beginning to ripple and shift unnaturally. I roared, kill. Swinging the giant axe, I severed one root after another, leaping off a fallen giant's body to strike the ghost tree again. But it wasn't enough to deliver the killing blow. The ghost tree retaliated by launching soul spears at me, sharp, pulsating projectiles that delivered excruciating pain to my brain. 4 ordinary evolutionaries, or even a level 3 evolutionary. This would have been a lethal, one-hit attack. Narrowing my eyes, I issued a command in my mind. Mechanical heart, prepare for activation. Mechanical heart, understood. In the next moment, I intentionally left an opening in my defense. Seizing the opportunity, dozens of roots pierced through my body. Blood spurted as I collapsed, pale as a sheet. The ghost tree let out a chilling laugh and wrapped me in its roots. dragging me toward its resentful face to devour me alive. Just as I was brought to its gaping maw, I abruptly lifted my head with an unhinged grin. Streamer, here's your firework. My body was riddled with wounds, blood pouring like rain, leaving me drenched and red, a macabre sight. Yet, the grin on my face was more feral than that of any beast. From atop the battle vehicle, a mid-sized RPG missile launcher had already been locked onto its target. A missile screamed through the air, headed straight for the ghost tree's resentful face. Realizing the incoming danger, the ghost tree frantically recalled its branches and roots to shield itself. But I wouldn't let it escape. With explosive force, I flung the giant axe into its gaping maw, jamming it wide open. Creak. The level 3 ghost tree bit down on the alloy axe, splintering it with incredible pressure, leaving cracks throughout. But the jammed axe held its jaws apart, leaving it vulnerable. I surged forward with all my strength, pushing against its jaws with my bare hands and feet, forcibly keeping its mouth pried open. At that very moment, the missile tore through its severed branches and roots, striking directly in front of me and inside the ghost tree. Boom! A deafening explosion roared out, a blinding flash of white and blazing fire engulfing everything in its path, like 1,000 thunderclaps erupting all at once. Yun Yi and Meng Xiaoyao froze in place, their minds blank with shock. No! Yun Yi cried out, her face ashen, the dark gleam in her eyes now violently trembling. The shadow behind her writhed, twisting unnaturally, as a small black snake emerged, coiling around her protectively. Meng Xiaoyao gritted her teeth, rushing out of the battle vehicle into the rain of blood, sprinting toward the blaze of destruction. She understood. If the missile had hit the ghost tree outwardly, it could still regenerate. But I had delivered the missile directly into its core, that vulnerable spot. This move would indeed kill the ghost tree, but it would also incinerate me in the process. An explosion like that didn't discriminate. Standing that close, there was simply no way I could have survived. Amid the raging inferno, where only scorched ground and ruins remained, Meng Xiaoyao dropped to her knees, her throat tight and dry. Suddenly, Yun Yi sprinted into the fiery wreckage. "Are you out of your mind, Yi?" Meng Xiaoyao yelled, trying to grab her, but Yun Yi didn't even look back, her expression as cold as ice. Desperate, Meng Xiaoyao gritted her teeth and, red-eyed, charged in after her. She had barely taken a few steps before a hand suddenly emerged from the flames. Out of the ocean, a hand suddenly shot forth and grabbed her arm tightly. Right after that, a figure stumbled out. It was me. "You foolish woman, trying to get yourself killed?" I somehow managed to muster a laugh. Behind me, Yunyi clung tightly to the corner of my shirt and gave a sheepish smile as well. "Bastard!" Meng Xiaoyao cursed through her tears, though by the end, she forced it into a mocking cold laugh. "Why aren't you dead from the explosion? How about being burned to a crisp?" she spat. "Are you that worried about me? Falling for me, are we?" I teased as I pinched her cheek. Meng Xiaoyao's face flushed crimson. With a soft huff, she turned on her heels and ran towards the battle tank. The three of us regrouped in the tank. Meng Xiaoyao pulled Yunyi aside to tend to her injuries, while I made my way to the energy conversion chamber, holding something in my palm. In my hand were 2 crystalline cores, one black, one white. The black core was the life crystal from the ghost tree. The white one, formed from the collapse of its soul, was a crystallization of its essence. "Mechanical heart," I asked, "can both of these be converted into energy?" The voice of Mechanical Heart replied, "Both can be converted into Tier 3 energy. However, it is not recommended to convert the white core. It is a soul crystal, a special item." I frowned slightly. "Why not?" Mechanical Heart explained, "The white crystal is a condensation of the ghost tree's imprisoned soul essence, known as a soul crystal. Such crystals have 2 distinct uses. The first is conversion into a significant amount of Tier 3 energy. The second, to process it into a serum for extracting its extraordinary power." I locked eyes with the white crystal, my voice lowering. "What kind of benefits are we talking about?" I raised my brows as I questioned the Mechanical Heart further. But the reply I got was straightforward: "Cannot determine." Weighing my options carefully, I saw 2 clear paths. Converting it for Tier 3 energy would grant immediate short-term strength, but it would inevitably accelerate encounters with more dangerous Tier 3 beasts. Alternatively, creating the serum had little immediate value but could eventually become a trump card, dealing with powers tied to souls long-term when things escalated. I laughed wryly at myself. 10 days since I woke up, I'd already grown much more powerful than I ever was in the dream. Thanks to careful planning and the mechanical heart. No point hesitating. I'll charge through as always. Make the serum. I tossed the ghost tree's black life crystal into the energy conversion chamber. Mechanical heart. Acquired 800 Tier 3 energy points. Moving over to the potion workstation, I initiated the reverse engineering process. A scanning blue light stretched across the white core as I placed it carefully onto the platform. An error message jumped out. Tier 3 extraordinary crystal detected. Current workstation level insufficient for analysis. I frowned, shifting to the upgrade menu immediately. The potion workstation had an upgrade option requiring 300 Tier 3 energy and 100 pounds of metal. The materials were plenty, no hesitation, upgrade confirmed. Mechanical heart. Upgrading. Countdown. 10 minutes, 59 seconds. 10 minutes later, the workstation grew larger, now pristine with a jade-like sheen. I repeated the analysis. Mechanical heart. Research initiated. Countdown. 12 hours, 30 minutes, and 59 seconds. Staring at the timer, I sighed and decided to craft a vial of Tier 1 evolution serum to kill time. With the new level 2 workstation, it only took 10 seconds. Out slid a shiny syringe of serum from its pearly white slot. Brother Xing Tian, time to eat, came Yunyi's voice as she walked over carrying a large bowl of soup. She listed today's menu with a grin. Braised fish, stir-fried cabbage, and pork organ soup. Just as I was pulling out a chair to sit, Meng Xiaoyao shot me a glare. Idiot, go wash your hands first. Laughing, I washed my hands and face thoroughly before returning for the meal. After stuffing myself full, I felt a rare moment of comfort amidst the apocalypse. With Yunyi's cooking, even instant noodles now seemed utterly unappetizing in comparison. Yunyi set about cleaning the dishes while Meng Xiaoyao lounged on the couch, belching contentedly. Joining her, I leaned in and said, I've got something fun to show you. Meng Xiaoyao perked up. What kind of fun? Dropping my voice slightly, I replied, something you can drink. From the kitchen, Yunyi glanced toward us, spotting our exchange. Her cheeks flared red as she quickly turned back around. A while later, Meng Xiaoyao spoke up again. I'm just an ordinary person, she said. Yunyi crept closer, chiming in nervously. It's true, brother Xing Tian. Sister Xiaoyao's body is really weak. A sly glint flickered in Meng Xiaoyao's gaze before she smirked. Oh, I know your game, she teased. You've got your eyes on our E, haven't you? That wolfish tail of yours is finally showing. She winked playfully at Yunyi, embarrassed beyond belief. Yunyi turned crimson from her ears to her neck, stumbling over her words until she finally squeaked and fled to her room. Exhaling in mild exasperation, I shot Meng Xiaoyao a warning glance, which only made her laugh harder. Enough fooling around. Let's get serious. I pulled out the Tier 1 serum vial and handed it to her. Meng Xiaoyao froze, eyes widening. What is this? A genetic evolution serum, I said. Drink it, and you'll become a level 1 evolver. Just go ahead and drink it. Meng Xiaoyao's expression changed instantly. Seriously? The apocalypse had arrived. Giant beasts, zombies, and monsters ran rampant. Without evolving, you didn't even have the right to survive. Though she currently lived comfortably with food and shelter, it was all because I was protecting her. But she knew better than anyone. If I grew tired of her and abandoned her, she wouldn't last a single day. This serum, however, could turn her from being a burden who might be discarded at any moment into someone who could stand on her own 2 feet. Clutching the bottle, she remained silent for a long time before gritting her teeth and asking, Aren't you afraid that once I become stronger, I might betray you? I chuckled. Are you bold enough to drink it? Who knows? Maybe I've poisoned it. Her pupils shrank. The very next second, she yanked out the stopper and downed the whole thing in one gulp. From now on, you're stuck with me, she said, her smile dazzling.